Ladies and gentlemen, I'm laughing at Steven Segura, the moderator. Big shout out to Steven. He says he's trigger happy. So no negative energy. That's right. You go, Steven. So yeah, that's right. Welcome out everybody to a surprise episode of Let's Talk About Decoding. Let's talk decoding. Steven, you crack me up, dude. And I just randomly thought I'd pop on here and share some space and time with all you great decoders around the world. Really feeling froggy these days. So welcome out everybody. This is Let's Talk Decoding 5. Wow, 5. And I'm going to really try to do my best to keep this strictly about decoding. We can talk about anything you want, but let's just keep it decoding. I have my tools. I have the cards of Illumination. I have the tarot here as well. And I have my Bay Watcher shirt. Some people get offended by, it's the Watcher and Logan's a devil and a demon. And so funny. People really have such a sense of humor these days. I just find it really comical. I came up with this, right? Because I was a fan of Bay Watcher growing up. And I was like, how cool would it be to put Watcher there with the same font? And that's what I created. So, and it's very special to me just because of the meaning behind it. And there's good and bad Watchers in the story. So if you know the context of that story in the book of Enoch, well, then you realize it's not just all doom and gloom. There's actually some light at the end of the tunnel. Like there is angels here, working for the good side, so to speak, to make this place a beautiful paradise that we all deserve to be in. So, all right. So I'm going to be once again looking over to my right because I have my my monitor to the right that has all of the text content here. So I'm going to be going back and forth. And I decided to go with red, right? Red tonight, red and black and white, try to mix it up. I'm huge into neon and the color codes and matching it up. And red is very seductive and it's very strong and fiery and, passionate. So I was kind of feeling the red today. So I felt like going with that. Let me get some music on here to kind of get a little bit more into tune with. Okay. There we go. Got a little dream state logic going on. All right, so ladies and gentlemen. So we have a negative. You didn't create it, you copied it. Copied what? If you're referring to the shirt, no. Maybe somebody else created it, but I never saw it before. I decided to create it, so. Today is Tuesday. Today is a Mars day, right? Mars is the god of war. Now, honestly, I didn't even think of that. But being in tune with the code, man, that's just kind of how the way it works. Today is a Four of Hearts day. Right here, here's the card. I got my silver deck out. Here's the card today that represents December 27th. 27 is a very special number tied to the thalamus, tied to heaven, tied to Jupiter, tied to currency, tied to sports, tied to religion. All these words in Chaldean numerology, the oldest known numerology cipher on the planet, equals the number 27, tied to your brain. That's what creates this reality is your brain, the thalamus, the golden egg inside your brain, amongst so many other things, the pineal gland, et cetera, et cetera. Frank's asking, other than Chaldean, what's your other cipher you go to? I like decoding from original languages, so I'm big into using the Greek, the Hebrew. I like decode. I love the Greek for some reason. I must have been in the Greek in my past life. I really fancy the Greek for something about it. It's just a beautiful, the words, the way they're shaped and stuff like that. So I like the Greek. I do like the Hebrew as well. I used to use septenary a long time ago. Matter of fact, that's really how I got started into decoding. I found Marty Leeds, big shout out to Marty Leeds. He doesn't even know who I am. I never met him, never talked to him, but He has his own style decoding. He started to use, and he primarily uses the septenary. If you want to see septenary in full effect, just go check out my Superstar Decoded 1, 2, and 3. Septenary is in there because septenary, the 171, that's how it works, is based upon the track and the patterns of the sun as it moves like a pendulum across the sky. So it's 171. It's like a boomerang. And the 7 is going to be in the month of June. So those of you that are born in the month of June, in the Tropic of Cancer, the Northern Hemisphere, you will be tied to the fullest expression of the sun. The fullest. Okay, June. I know that it's typically in August, but there is the 171 pattern through that methodology. So if you're going by the seasons, yeah, you're going to be August and Leo. Okay. So I hope that answered it. I probably should have said more. What other ciphers do I use? The English ordinal kind of is pairing with the Chaldean because English uses 1 through 26, A through Z. If you add up 2 plus 6, you're going to get 8. So it always comes back to this 8. Chaldean is very special because it works off of phonetics. It works off of the shape of the letters. It's the oldest known numerology cipher on the planet. And it connects to alchemy. It connects to the cards of illumination. It connects to the tarot directly. There's no other cipher like it to connect like that. Sure, you can find connections with words and the cards, et cetera, but not directly like Chaldean. There's just no other cipher like it. And if you do the numerology of your name, your birth certificate name especially, you'll find that it's more accurate than the Pythagoras, the 1 through 9, which is a really good cipher to use as well. But you gotta, as a decoder, I really kind of went into septenary and then I found Chaldean and I fell in love. I read some books on Chaldean numerology. I realized how old it was, the antiquity. Doesn't mean anything about the antiquity, but there is that aspect to it. And I really kind of just fell in love with the Chaldean. I have a life path number 8, so it kind of really made a lot of sense for me. I just kind of gravitated towards that and it became my foundation. And I started to decode through the Chaldean and I just eliminated all the other ciphers because, and I know a lot of people, and myself included, we're creating these ciphers now. But like, if you go to like the 4, like Derek over at Gematrinator, if you go to his website, he's got the 4 base ciphers. You can go ask him. He's not going to be able to tell you where did reverse come from? Somebody made that up. That we don't speak in reverse. We speak forwards. We put the letters moving forward. So that's going to have the priority. But you can match anything if you look hard enough with as many ciphers. You open them all up and you're going to have a lot of possibilities, a lot of opportunities to match these words up. And it gets easy to do that. And that's where you start, right? That's basic decoding, but that's really watered down results. You got to get into the cards, and that's why Chaldean to me is so special because it's the only one directly connected to the periodic table, the cards, the tarot, the medicine cards, et cetera, et cetera. Do I have any 2023 predictions? Well, these are loose and for fun. I think cryptocurrency will be in full swing. Bitcoin turns 14 on January 3rd. January 9th, Bitcoin will turn 14. And 14 is tied to the word time. It's tied to the word God. It's tied to the word Satan. Satan is 31415, which is pi directly. Satan is 31415 in Chaldean. What is Satan? It's time. Over time, you're going to sin. Over time, you're going to decay. Over time, you're going to do bad things. That's the devil, and you're the little devil. That's why I say be the best little devil you can be. You want to be a good person, yeah. But, if you want to have fun, sometimes you end up becoming a little devil, right? It's always going to be the chakras up and down the ladder of the spinal cord. Up here is the heavenly realms, and down below the chakras, the heart chakra is going to be the hellish regions, red, or this color, red, orange, yellow. That's why this is like a color of drive and passion and flame and fire. Mars and orange. That's why the sacral chakra is orange, where you hump and procreate. It's your sexual energy. Yellow, the solar plexus, the belly of the beast. This is all lower chakra energy. But it's necessary because it's part of life, right? You're not going to eliminate that. And then you'll be unbalanced, I feel. You want to be in the heart space. You want to be right here in the very center. The green. Green is 20, right? Balance. You want to be right here. And you want to be slightly alkaline. You want to just imitate the body. Because your body, the blood especially, the blood red, the blood is 7.3 pH, which stands for potential hydrogen, which is tied to the sun because the sun has hydrogen in it. And so the 7.3, 7.4 is the average of the blood. That's slightly alkaline. See, if you're going to be slightly acidic, you'll decay quicker. You'll have probably less of a great experience in life. You don't want to stay down in those lower chakras. You want to get to the very center and be slightly love. And if you follow the law of one material, the raw material, that material says that if you want to graduate from this reality, from 3D into 5D, you must be service to others. You must be slightly love. 51% is the actual percentage, right around there. 51% service to others. Are you that person? Can you check that off the list? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis to be slightly love, slightly service to others? How much negativity owns you in your life? How much complaining do you do? You know? And decoding can really suck the life out of you because it brings you down into depths of ugliness. It shows you that this reality is not that beautiful. But you got to make lemonade out of that, folks. What's up, Ethan? The great decoder. If you want to follow a decoder, Ethan Rucker in the house. He's on. Ethan, thanks for joining on the Telegram group. If you want to join the Telegram group, Stephen, can you put the link in there for everybody? If you don't mind, if you can, the Telegram group, if you want to join. And we're very strict in the Telegram group. It's strictly for decoding. There's no animation and memes and mainstream garbage. And if you're going to post something, you must have some kind of context to that post, because I don't want to be just like any other Telegram group where people come in there and are just posting nonsense, stupid garbage that have nothing to do with decoding. This is serious stuff, decoding, strictly for decoding. So if you want to join the Telegram group, by all means, join in, but you'll quickly get kicked out if you don't follow the rules, which is be cordial, be nice, live and let live, right? You know, there's no room for any arguments, debating, any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so Ethan says, what's the most... Ethan is big into asking questions. What is? Now, if you just type that word, what is, into the Chaldean cipher, and you get an outcome, you'll see what that is, and you can kind of get like what is, and then ... Like what about the word the? In Chaldean, it's 455. What does 455 mean? You see, when you're a decoder, you should know this is numerology now. That's why, like gematria, I know the word is used quite a bit, but I gotta, as a stickler here, none of us, nobody uses gematria. Nobody. It's just the buzzword, because the true definition of gematria is coding words into numbers. We are decoding words into numbers. We're decoding because then when you get the number outcome, you got to know what the number means. Besides just, it's the 201 and it means this and the Pope's in this. What does the 201 mean? Like people like to just connect the numbers and they think that, this looks good and I'm going to get some attention by connecting words to numbers, but anybody can, a little kid can do that. And you start there. You start by connecting words to numbers, but you really kind of reduce down and use one cipher. Get your vocabulary with one cipher. And then you can branch out and it will become much easier to really see the world around you once you have your foundation. Otherwise, you're going to have some really, soil by the water. It'll just be really loose. What is the purpose of 88? I love it. That's so funny. Let's see. We have a question. Cool. All right. Thanks, Stephen. So Stephen, I'm going to pin this. So I've pinned the official Telegram link that you can go to join. But again, please respect that everybody has an opinion. Everybody's right. Okay. And there's absolutely no room for division in there. So stick with the rules. Very simple. Don't post any nonsense. Don't post anything. Like, don't just put a video in there and that's it. Like, what does it mean? Why are you posting it? Have some context to it. Unless it's self-explanatory. Peach Jamatra is asking, is Saturn Satan? You can definitely link it to that for sure, because Saturn is Chronos, which is Father Time. What happens over time, folks? Let's just use the example of a car. If you buy a brand new car and you get it off the lot at the dealership, it's got 0 miles on it. What happens from the day you drive it off the lot and you fast forward 10 years into the future and you continually own that car? What happens to it? It starts to break down. How is it breaking down? Because it's through time. And that's the devil. That's one particular aspect of Satan. It's time. That's why Satan and time both equal 14, just like God equals 14. The God of time is Satan. Satan is the God of time. Because eventually we all face one thing, and that's death. So is there a boogeyman running around out to get you? I've never met him. I've never seen one before. I mean, I know there's black magicians that conjure up spirits all the time. I started to follow this guy named, I think his last name is Coetting, and he has a website called, or a YouTube channel. What's the name of it? I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, he's all about, I was studying, I was watching, observing. He was all about, doing rituals and conjuring up, and, this is what they pledge to. So they believe that there's demons on the world stage. They go by a lot of names. And, I have postulated this myself. I mean, Society of Jesus, if you study their stuff, all the way back when they first came around, they had a retreat you'd go to, and they taught you that this reality is run by angels and demons, and it's a sliding scale, having you on strings. And I think it's just a matter of like, what kind of mindset are you in? If the free will that we have allows us to move back and forth, well then, imagine that you're kind of living that heavenly life. You're living that good life, your service to others, and you have the angels working with you. But maybe you hit a bumpy road in your life. Maybe you have the passing of somebody close to you, and you start drinking and you start getting depressed and you start sliding down the scale. And then the angel's like, okay, demon, you ready? You take this person, because he's out of my hands now, or she's out of my hands now. And then you just move into that space. That may be how it works. You got the Devas and the Asuras in the Vedas. The oldest known religious text in the world, Hinduism. The Devas and the Asuras. The Asuras are the demons. They were Devas. And it's the fallen angel story. They want, like, hey, I want to go play that game. And they incarnate however that looks. And here we are playing out this game. No, the group is free, Alexandra. There's no money involved. Is this why you need to put armor on against yourself? Well, you can look at it that way. All you got to do, it's really simple, folks. Let's just keep it simple. What does your heart tell you to do? And then if you look at your life, before I got into decoding, I was a life strategist. Life strategist is somebody who analyzes your life and writes you out a prescription on how you can make your life better. Some call it a life coach. That's just kind of a life strategist. Like, what's the strategy of your life? And if you write down, all of you, if you decode your life, you write down all your habits, Are they going to be service to others? Are they going to be slightly love? Or are they going to be on the negative side? I mean, I can go to anybody's social media page, if they have a YouTube channel, what they're posting. I can tell you exactly if they're more acid than alkaline. It's easy to see it. There's no hiding it because people are not paying attention to what they're sharing. So the simple thing about the armor is, someone asks, is that why you should be a good person? What does a good person look like to you? What is somebody that's service to others? What does that look like to you? What are you doing on the daily? What are you doing on the day-to-day basis? Have you decoded yourself? Do you know the true essence of why you're here? Do you know your cosmic blueprints? Do you know your cards? Do you know your tarot card? Do you know your astrology charts? Do you know your numerology? Do you know your life path? These are all part of who you are and how you will experience the most bliss in your life. Like I had somebody comment, some subscriber saying, can you please stop saying to, be grateful in it, whatever they said, enjoy this reality or this, make lemonade, whatever. It was so negative. I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop encouraging people to be grateful for this life. I mean, and then I go to this person's page, you know what I see? Negative stuff, focusing on negative stuff. Well, if you want to do that, that's all fine. But you know what you're going to get in return? Because it's a boomerang, you're going to get a bunch of negative shit. You can't put into the pot shit and get gold out of it. You can't do that. You can't focus on negativity and expect to get positivity out of your life. It just doesn't work that way. So when you decode yourself, start decoding yourself from the basic fundamentals, astrology, numerology, and et cetera, but then maybe you want to write out all your habits that you do on the daily. What do you do every day? What are you thinking about? Who are you talking to? Who are you hanging out with? Maybe some of the friends that you hang out with, you got to get rid of, but you don't want to because then there's going to be a void in your life. I spend a lot of time alone, a lot. The majority of my time I spend alone, and I'm okay with it. It served me well. I'm not hiding, but it served me well. And I've taken that time and I've made lemonade out of it. I have decoded myself to the deepest levels you could possibly decode yourself at. And, I don't share a lot of my life. I don't need to. I don't care. I'm here to service humanity. Thank you, Tiffany. I did a reading for someone. Her name was Tiffany. She goes, Logan, you're a tour guide. And it's stuck, and it's true. Tour and guide are both 19. Logan's 19. I mean, it's a fit, I'm a tour guide. That's what my job is. My job is to decode this reality, show you how it works, and then you do whatever the hell you want to do with it. Not my responsibility at that point. But I encourage people to decode yourself because the age of Aquarius, whether or not we're in it or not, is besides the point. You got to know who the hell you are as a human being. And then if you have kids and you have a husband and a wife, don't you want to know how they show up every day? Especially children. If I had a kid, man, I've said this, I would be decoding that kid all the time, much as I can. Because that's how you raise the child. You have a blueprint, a basic fundamental blueprint to run the whole gamma on the child, and then you can gently encourage them to go a certain way. And that's all about decoding, folks. That's how you really raise a good kid. Besides the environment, is to know your children, know what they're doing, know why are they doing it. A lot of people can't handle time alone. And that's because they have a codependency. You see, if you're going to get into, I don't want to turn this into like, what's your question, right? Because I'm kind of turning it into that, right? Like getting really, I want to keep this decoding, but if you're going to get into a partner, if you're going to get into a partnership, if you're going to have a partnership, you got to know the person you're getting into the partnership with. Like the basic fundamentals. Because when you get into that partnership, man, you don't get into the partnership because you need to be in the partnership. The partnership should be a complementary aspect. They complete you. Not because you use one, I mean, we do, the contradiction is we kind of use one another, right? Like when you want love, you use the other person to get the love, right? But that's just how a partnership works. But it's got to be complementary. But decoding your partner, the best way to do it. Because it's the cheat sheet. When they show up a certain way, you're like, okay, well, that's just them being them. That's just them being them. And then you see, when you surrender to that, rather than saying, you know what, I don't like the way you do that. Well, too bad, that's my code. Kick stones. You know? It's just easier to surrender and live and let live. That's the motto I have adopted. Live and let live. Are you doing that? That's what I suggest you do. And you'll do that through decoding. You'll figure it out through decoding. The world around you, the people around you, and yourself at the highest level. Cosmic Fern Tree says, how awesome if it would have been if our moms and dads decoded us when we were babies. Yeah, exactly. You know, when I do a reading for somebody, I strive to tell them that, you know, your parents, if you had good parents that raised you, forget about the parent, the people that raised you, they gave you their code. Because if you pull up the chart of your parents, like let's just hypothetically say all of you out there, your parents raised you. Well, if you go look at their astrological chart and their cards and numerology and life path, it's not going to be like yours. There may be some similarities, but we're all snowflakes. So they're disciplining you, they're creating you as a child, they're raising you based upon how they see the world. And they did that through their parents and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a big melting pot of energy. And then here you come into the world. And a lot of how you end up acting and behaving is based upon how your parents told you to do it. Not your code, folks. You know, I said this before, that there are people out there that, and maybe you're one of them, that your parents kind of coerced you into your career that you're at right now, and you didn't want to go into that career, but dad did it, mom did it, so they're like, hey, I want you to do it. And they end up resenting their parents. You get rid of that resentment, man, you're free. Resentment is a prison. Get rid of that, you're free. Anger is a prison. You get rid of that, you're free. Grudges are a prison. You get rid of those and you're free. So I have some coconut water here, right down the street. I'm so blessed, right down the street, literally two minutes walk for me. Fresh coconut water, pretty awesome. Better than any whiskey, I can tell you that. I mean, whiskey's good, but JJ Reckon, where would I begin to decode my 7-year-old? Well, very simple. You would pull up and look at their total birthday, which is the life path. You add up your total birthday. So my birthday is 2/4/1973. So 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 3 is 26. So I have a 26, and most numerologists will reduce it down. I don't. I use the compound number 26. So I'm a life path 26. Okay, so, and then you separate the 2 and the 6. What does the 2 and the 6 mean? Well, you go look it up, right? But then it's going to, of course, feed the single digit 8. So my life path technically is a number 8. So you start with the life path, and then you know what your soul contract is. You see, let's just hypothetically say that spirit Spirit in the sky says, hey, you know what? I'm going to go down. I'm going to play the game. And I'm going to use that body, and those two people, they're going to hump right now, and they're going to make a baby, and I'm going to incarnate into that baby. And then, whoop, here you are. And your spirit enters into the avatar, and now you have an adversary called your ego. Now you got to deal with it. And instead of working against your ego that's so demonized these days, you got to make peace with it. Because that's what you desire. Like, what do you desire? That's what drives you. That's what drives your spirit. And your spirit is separate, so your spirit is something that's very important. That's your soul contract. And that's going to kind of have a big say in what you do in this reality. So if you know what your kid's soul contract, I mean, if you've got a kid who's got a 9 life path, that's humanitarian. Humanitarian, straight up. And then if they got a 9 birthday, oh my Lord, that's like 9 crazy. That's like humanitarian all over the place. So you would gently nudge the child towards humanitarian kind of stuff. You would create that environment as a parent because they're a 9 life path, and you want them to experience this life as a humanitarian. You want to encourage them to be that. And then you look at their astrological charts, and you got to know how to break all this stuff down. And I have a course coming out. It's going to be a game changer, Western and Vedic. And it will show you how to use all of the planetary aspects, the basic fundamentals of the rising, the basic fundamentals of the midheaven, what all these placements mean, the degrees, the houses that they're in. Again, astrology is your eyeball. It's your eye. That's why it's round. Now, in the Indian, it's going to be diamonds, but it's your eye. That's what it is. It's the Stargate. This is a Stargate right here. And you got the chart of when you were born, and then the chart of the now moment that always constantly moves. And if you want to know how to read astrology, you just look at the now moment chart, and you can kind of get a guesstimate of what kind of energy is coming in. And then you can kind of put it over the top of your chart, and you can see like what's going on here. This is what you do with astrology. It's not that difficult, folks. And then you got the human design, which is very accurate. And that's in the Gene Keys with Richard Rudd in that book. You get the personality types. You want to have your kids too young to take the personality type test? No problem. Take it for them. You see what they're doing. Try to get a gauge of what they're doing. Know what their card of Illumination. There's, basically most people are going to have 4 to 5 primary cards, planetary ruling cards. These are like, I believe that we're being played with these cards. Like the divine we're these cards, and it's playing us. Playing these hands. Like I got this is my hand right here. Like, just like, imagine the divine is playing Texas Hold'em up in, and I'm going to just use this because everybody knows, it's up in heaven and it's playing Texas Hold'em. And it's waiting for the river. It's waiting for the turn. And it's gambling on these, and it's using the mankind to experience this reality. So you gotta, if you know the cards, if you can memorize your card, you'll have a lot more keys to your kingdom. Because everything else in your past, I shouldn't say everything, a lot of your past is not your code, but you live through it. So the advantage of the child is, and then decoding the kid, decoding and knowing, and then you remember how your kid is. And you see them. You see them out in the world, and I'd be asking my kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, I would do this a lot. Kids believe in magic. They don't know how this reality works as a human being. Decoding is a curse because you start to see how this reality works, and it can lead to some demises. So knowledge is power, yeah, but it's also cursed. It is, for sure. Ignorance is bliss, that's so true. Because then you're out just la la la, let's go to the beach, let's go to the hangout, let's go hiking them out, let's go enjoy this and enjoy that. And this reality, when you decode it, you realize this reality needs one thing, and that's players. It needs people. If there's no people here, there's no energy, there's no earth, there's nothing going on. If the divine is using all of us as these vessels to experience its own game through, well then, if you got rid of all of them, how would it experience its reality? Yeah, it can incarnate into a deer, an ant, a flower. but not at this level as a human being. Like, this is the ultimate right here. And people just bitch and complain about their lives when there could be a waiting list to get in here. People just freaking waste it by bitching and complaining and just turning into negativity. I've been there though. I've beaten depression. I've been there, man. I've beaten addictions. I've been there. So I've walked the walk. And then when I got into decoding, it's changed everything for me. It's made me appreciate everything around me. Everything around me appreciates me because I appreciate everything around me. Constantly giving gratitude to everything as I decode. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Tina, is this relative to live your life to glorify God? Just, folks, what makes you happy in life? What gets you out of bed? Decode yourself. If you're not, because you're never going to get happy. I mean, you're going to have bits of happiness, and you ride that wave as long as you can, and hope that it never ends. But what gets you off? What turns you on? You know, I mean, love is the greatest feeling ever. That's a no-brainer. But beyond that, if you set that aside, you have one thing that stands above them all, and that's gratitude. Gratitude. Gratitude supersedes everything because it doesn't need anything to exist. Gratitude, being grateful for everything around you, and then everything around you ends up becoming grateful for you. You know, like I have said, you start decoding the world around you and the code starts to look back at you. When you look at the code enough, and you get into tune with the code, then, you know, everything it becomes clear. Like this, as I'm talking, you can hear me clear. Because when you get into tune with it, when you get into tune with this reality, things become more clear. And when you're in the now moment by decoding yourself and you put yourself in check and you start to list things in your life that you're doing on the daily, what are you doing? Are you more negative or are you more positive? You know, it's a sliding scale. You're going to be both, but at the same time, which one's going to favor in your life as you decode yourself? And you'll find where, you know, your hiccups are. Everything comes down to habits. Everything comes down to habits. AJ Native, can you tell us about the relationship between the 10 and Jack of Diamonds? I mean, the 10 of diamonds and the Jack of diamonds, what's the relationship? Well, the 10 is very much different than, let me just pull them out and show you, because the 10 of diamonds, what the hell's my Jack of diamonds? So those of you that are Jack of diamonds, great birthday to have. Great birth card. There it is. Okay. So okay. First and foremost, let me just explain to you the cards of illumination versus the tarot, because some people are maybe a little bit confused. These cards came first. These set the standard, and the tarot came after. The tarot's lineup is different than the cards of illumination. The cards of illumination, the system that I learned off of a book called Sacred Secrets of the Ancients, a book that was written in 1947. I learned it from Sharon Jeffers, who's been reading cards for decades. The cards in their lineup, they go with the elements of this reality. Plasma, fire, which is hearts. In the tarot, it's not going to be that. So they're going to each have their say. It's like, you know, I can't say that Western astrology is better than sidereal, because that would be incorrect. Even Chinese is amazing if you know how to use it. They all have their say in this. But These are fire. These are first in the lineup of the cards. You can interchange them anyway. It doesn't matter because the number 52 is very special. And then you have, after fire, you have air, the club suit. This is an air suit. So any of you that have a club card as your birth card, you're in an air, you're in your mind. You work for the mind of the cosmos. Primarily. And then you have the diamonds, okay? The diamonds, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. These represent water. In the tarot, they're going to represent the earth, but these are their own system. So the 10 of diamonds sits in the very dead center of the chart, and it's the Jupiter card. It's tied to the Queen of Clubs, and these two cards represent the operating system because this card is the 36th card in the deck. Jesus Christ equals 36. That's why it's such a big icon on the world stage. The title of it, whether or not he existed, irrelevant. The idea makes it real. But this card right here, these 10s, the 10s are kind of like in chess, they would be the rooks, the castles, the foundation. This is the operating, and then system would be the 7 of clubs, the 20th card in the deck. And you get the 107, and 107 is a prime number. Okay? And then after the diamonds, you have the spades. These represent earth. These represent mankind in this system. And how I know this is accurate, ladies and gentlemen, is because the 52nd card in the deck is this guy right here, the king of the earth. So if you were to take this and put it into the tarot, the swords come before the diamonds, which doesn't place it in the proper, and I say proper because if you take alchemy into this, the 52nd element matching this card is tellurium, which means earth. Spades, those of you that are spades, you represent the foundation of earth. This is the spirituality of mankind. Finding your way back. That's why they point upwards. And the hearts, which are fire, they point downwards. You see the difference? One points up and one points down. So the spades, that's why the king of spades is, and this card does not move. It's one of 3 unmovable cards. And this sits in the Saturn crown line. I'm pretty sure this is the Saturn and the sun. The king of spades, because the king is the sun. Okay, this is what this right here is a very important card. But the 10 of diamonds is tied to the operating system, and the operating system is the castle walls, the foundation of it all. The 10. 10 is 415, just like man in numerology. But then you have the Jack of Diamonds, and the Jack of this card right here is the card of one of the birthdays of July 4th, the birthday of the United States of America. Why? Because this Jack is the land of the free and the home of the brave. The Jack, the knight that goes out into the world and takes charge. What does the knight do? They're the action takers. They get on the horse. It's in chess, it's going to be the knight, the 2 knights. The bishop's going to be the 9 of spades. And the jacks are going to be the knights, the horses. And then the king and queen are obvious. And then you have the 1 through 8 as the pawns in the front. And they have the ability to march down the board and become a queen or whatever piece they want, to become royal. Okay? And there's 16 pieces on a chessboard. So there's 16 on one side, 16 on the other. That's going to be 32. That's going to link exclusively to the element sulfur. And the Tower card in the tarot. Okay? I hope that explains it. I'll probably talk a little bit more about the cards because they really deserve the attention, man. They really are a very important layer in our reality, the cards of illumination. Yes, Steven Segura says your Chaldean name output could be attached to a card. It will be attached to a card. It will be attached to a card. It will be attached to several cards. Number one, your birth certificate name has priority. Now, there are several ways to do your birth certificate name. Let me just show all of you really quickly. Hang on, let me just get my screen. Okay. So if you go to numerology, okay, I'm using this website called daysofcoding.com. All right. But if you type in your name, let's just use Roger, I don't know, Tony, and Barry. I don't know, I just made it up, right? Roger, Tony, Barry. This would be this person's full birth certificate name. It's actually going to be, on all capital letters right here, okay? Now, there is another cipher that you'd want to use, and that would be the Francis Bacon, because you got to realize that Francis Bacon is the only cipher that uses capital letters. Okay, here's the cipher. And so when you get into the capitals, which is what is on your social security card if you are born in the US, I'm not sure about any of the other countries out there, but you have now this number to work with. And obviously it's a large number. So what do you got to do with this? You have to reduce this down to 52 or below to get to one of the cards in the deck. So if you take 565, and all I do is I just divide it. So I'll take 565. Let me get my calculator so I can show all of you. Okay, let me get my cursor. So you're going to take your calculator here and you're going to get, what was it, 565? 565, and you divide that by 52. And you're going to get 10.86. So we know now all you got to do is take 52 and multiply it by 10, and you're going to get 520, and then you're going to subtract that 565, and you're going to get 45. So now we know that the 45th card in the deck, where's my, I don't think I have my cards of illumination up. Okay. But the 45th card in the deck is the 9 of hearts. I'm sorry, the 45 card in the deck is the 6 of swords, 6 of spades. God, where's my brain at? 6 of spades, okay? So if you come to the, where the heck is my, hold on a sec, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get this up. Okay. So the 6 of spades right here is the 45th card in the deck, right? So this would be tied to the name on the Francis Bacon, and then the counterpart to this card is going to be the 9 of spades over here in the spirit side. These two sides work in tandem. Over here is your ego card, your identity, your adversary of the spirit. Okay, this is the way your mind kind of works. So you'd have the 6 and the 9 on that aspect. And then when you go to the Chaldean, you're going to have 44. So 44 is going to have you obviously a different outcome, right? It doesn't go in the way these things get capitalized. So 44 in the deck of the cards of illumination, let's go back here, is the 5 of spades right here. God, I'm drawing blanks tonight. I don't know why. 5 of spades is card 44. So you'd have the 5 of spades and the 10 of hearts. It's interesting because this card right here is the card of Bitcoin, one of them. And it's also the card of the Bavarian Illuminati that was founded on May 1st. And this is card 44, and the word transhumanism is 44. And so this 5 of spades, okay? So that's how you do the names. Whoops. I'm all over the place tonight. Okay. The 5 of spades, found from that name, that's how you do the names there. kind of losing it tonight, folks. I haven't really eaten, that's why. But this 5 of spades is a really interesting card. If you go look at the Georgia Guidestones, it had the 5. It's the X, the 4 pillars and the 1 in the middle. The 5 is the most busiest number there is. It sits right in the middle of your dial pad. If I place a pyramid over the dial pad, the number 5 is going to be at the pinnacle, the apex. 5 is the pentagram, the pentagon. It's man. 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. 5. Okay, it represents your identity. And then you synchronize that with the 5th house of astrology, Leo the lion. What does the lion work in? The pride. What is pride? Your ego. So this represents your ego, your identity. And then the counterpart is going to be 6, which is the 6-sided polygonal called the hexagon. And that's tied into Saturn, Chronos, Father Time, and the human being experience through the trifecta, the Trinity. 56 is tied to barium. Barium is the element tied to lights, camera, action. And that's the movie. 5 and 6 is the movie. That's why the soccer ball has the 5 and 6 on it. Think about it. The most popular sport in the world has the 5 and the 6 on it. Out of any of the number combinations, 56 is on the soccer ball. Why? Well, I mean, clearly it's tied to lights, camera, action. 56. It's tied to barium. And that's why this is tied to the Bavarian Illuminati. You know, their May 1st, that's 51. 51's tied to the implant in your brain. What do you mean you got an implant in your brain? Yeah, the little voice in your head. That owns you. You don't own that. Where do your thoughts come from? Oh, you didn't create your thoughts. You're having a conversation with yourself, but you have sometimes you're like, oh, I just thought of that. Where did it come from? A lot of these songwriters would be like, I don't know where, you read about it, like, well, it just came to me. I don't know where it came from. Came out of nowhere. Yeah, it came from the supernatural. That's where it came from, because that's what runs this reality. We're just along for the ride, folks. People just can't grasp this. This is what's coming out. This is what's going to be released eventually. And you're either going to be on board with it or you're not. But I can guarantee you, as my truth, this is going to come out. It's coming out. That your life's not your own. Can I talk about the King of Diamonds? Yeah, the King of Diamonds, 39th card in the deck. If you tie it to the tarot, it's the 77th or 78th card in the deck. That's the interesting part about the tarot, by the way, is these numbers, okay? And these numbers are not going to be absolute, because there's one benefactor, there's one anomaly in the tarot deck, and that's the Fool. You see, I'm going to get back to the King of Diamonds, but this is worth mentioning to all of you. Let me find him. There he is. Okay. So when you look at the Fool card, you see that right there? Let me see if I can get it in focus. Come on, camera. There it is. Okay, so right at the top of his head, there's a 0 there. Do you see a 22 there? No, you don't. But in the context of the tarot cards, it's very common for people to use this as the 22nd card in the deck, as well as the 0. But there ain't no 22 on there. So for me, as a decoder, I use both. The most popular is the Fool in the 0 and the 22nd position, which means if you put the Fool as card 22 as well as 0, it will move the King of Pentacles, which is the King of Diamonds, to card number 78. But if you remove the Fool from the 22nd position, it moves them back 1 slot, and now we only have 77 cards in the tarot. And this is a special number because it's tied to your eye. It's tied to, then you go into alchemy, Iridium. Iridium means the iris of your eye, the Hotel California. I hope all of you watched my Hotel Capricorn Decoded. I called it Capricorn because California and Capricorn both equal the same numerology output. The hotel is you. This is your hotel. And then California is the game of life. Time. The hotel moving through time. And that's the King of Diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds and the King of Diamonds. All right, the Queen of Diamonds is a really, really special card as well because it's the Queen Bee that we work for. Okay, but anyway, the King of Diamonds being the 39th card in the deck. This card right here is tied to the original numerology of Lucifer. Oh boy, uh-oh. And we have, what is Lucifer? Lucy. What is Lucy? Lucy, where is Lucy? In the sky. You see, if you take the pentacles, in the tarot, they're going to mean earth. Well, the earth ain't the sky. So the diamonds through this methodology, Lucy in the sky with diamonds. All right, it's the diamond suit. That is and the Queen of Diamonds, card 38, is the voice in your head. And I got a course I got a course coming out on these cards, and it's like a bingo chart. It's pretty amazing. But the Queen of Diamonds is the 38th card in the deck, and the words actor and actress, 17 and 21, that equals 38. The Queen is the Red Queen. Man, if you haven't seen the movie Manchurian Candidate, 2004, Denzel Washington, absolutely one of the best movies ever made, I think. Because it tells you loud and clear right there, man, your mind's not your own. But then people look at it like, oh, well, man's doing it. Man's doing this MK. They're doing it, sure, but it's a fractal down. The fractal up is the supernatural, controlling the strings. And then man just becomes subordinate to that, or woman. But it's the Queen of Diamonds. So this King of Diamonds, if you have this King of Diamonds, this is one of the most successful entrepreneur cards in the deck. So if you have this and you ain't living through that code, you know, maybe you need to reevaluate your life. I have two of my best friends, both males, both have the same birthday, January 14th. Bam, right there. This is their card. And they're both extremely successful. They're both Capricorns. I mean, that has something to do with it. See, if you take the King of Diamonds and you move it into a different birthday, it's going to change the parameters because now you're going to get the astrological parameters that you need to deal with. You're going to get your soul contract you need to deal with. So we're this melting pot of energy, folks. You got to look at every single layer you possibly can to figure it out of what the hell you're doing here. But if you got this King of Diamonds card, you know, and you're a Capricorn, if you're born on January 14th, man, you should be killing it. I'm not saying it's set in stone for you. I'm not saying you don't have to work for it, but like, are you owning that space? Do you want to be in that space? You see, some people incarnated to be wealthy and filthy rich. And then other people look at them and they think you're the devil and, you know, you're this. And dude, I incarnated to feel this and experience this. Some people were just incarnated to do that. Five of Clubs, great card. That's one of the cards of Jesus. Five of Clubs. If you're a Five of Clubs, if you have a Five of Clubs in your lineage, Five of Clubs is tied to the heaven. I'm going to show you how that works. This card right here, this is your birth card. This is the mind's, this is the air suit. Now, clubs means air. Five is the busy man. You're busy. Busy, busy, busy. You're in your head a lot. You may have monkey mind. It may be tough for you to control your thoughts. That's why meditation would be something to calm you down. Because this is the tarot card that matches up with this Five of Clubs. This is the 27th card in the deck, matches the word heaven, matches to the word thalamus. What do you think? And religion is 27. This is the card of religion. Well, what does it look like right there? People fighting. Competition, ego, battles, that's all religion-based. All designed to keep you busy in this reality. Because if you're busy fighting and causing division, you're not going to pay attention to what's truly important in your life. And that's just, why am I fighting? Why do I think my God's the way to go and your God's the wrong? No, it's my God. It's my book. It's this. This is all this, the picture. But that's the Five of Clubs. So if you have this card, man, you know, you got to really your meditation would be really good for you to calm you down, to control that monkey mind. but a busy, busy life, especially if you have a 5 life path. Woo! You know, I mean, your soul is like, just wants to get out there and do, like, I'll sign up for anything, you know, the 5 life path. Can I explain Francis Bacon's birthday? Well, I don't think that it's just Francis Bacon. I think there's got to be more to it than just Francis Bacon. There's probably a middle name. Let me just check. I haven't really looked. I did before, I think, and I kind of was bored with it. Let me see. Okay, he doesn't have, so he's born, okay, so Francis Bacon, born on January 22nd. That's the 122. That's antimony. That's the voice in your head, directly. Okay, he was the Lord High Chancellor of Great Britain. How do you get in this position? You got to start looking at this reality as like people are selected to incarnate into these high positions. Why did they get those high positions? Well, maybe they deserved it. Maybe they earned it. That's why complaining and bitching and moaning and pointing the fingers, to me, is not the way to go in this reality. Because if there is such a thing as leveling up, you ain't gonna earn your stripes doing that. Nope. So yeah, he's got the death of November, April 9th. That's the Queen of Diamonds. I mean, yeah, he died on the Queen of Diamonds day. The guy, what's his name? Route 91 harvest. October 1st, 2017, Paradise, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Stephen Paddocks. You know what his birthday was? April 9th. What is the April 9th card? The Queen of Diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds is directly linked to the voice in your head. The Red Queen. Go watch the movie Manchurian Candidate. Things will start to go into place for you. Let's look at this Francis Bacon. Hold on. If I do his, I did it before. So he's got, yeah, he's got the 417. He's got the 417, and the total of that is a match to the second chakra in the chakra lineup. It's the sacral, because the sacral has a frequency of 417, and there you go, just like that, Francis Bacon, 417, okay, down in the lower chakras. But if you take the 417, and let's see, it's a, so he is a Ace of Hearts, numero uno, card number 1. Francis Bacon. That is the card of the atom. It's the very first card in the lineages of all the cards, which means it's a card of plasma, fire, and it's the ace, so it's number 1. It's tied to Aries, the ram, the start of all the zodiac. It's tied to the first nakshatra. You can synchronize this way, tied to hydrogen. Hydrogen has a weight of 1.008. That's tied to the Christ, because Jesus is 18. Christ is 18. I've done Mary Magdalene. If you guys want, if you check out my Society of Jesus, I think I decoded all that. Because it's not just Mary Magdalene. You're going to have the Latinized. You want to go back, if you're going to be a decoder and you're going to decode, you want to go as far back to the origination of them all as you can. You want to get as far back as you can, because that to me is going to have much more history to it. And I feel like these things, like, you know, if you take the word revelation, it's 39 in Chaldean, but it's 41 in the original Greek. So these numbers you see, 39, 40, 41, they're gonna kind of blend together. 41 is tied to the Elohim. The Elohim equals 41. January 27th. Yeah, so if you have a January 27th birthday, there are many ways to look at these birthdays. Number one, it's 127. 127 is the 31st prime number. The 31st prime number. The words ride or die equals 31. So you can have fun with that. The 31st card of the deck is the 5 of diamonds. The 5 of diamonds. Think about this. I want to show you. And I'll come back to this king of clubs because that's what you are, the 127. So there are many ways to look at these words that we use in your own personal life, in the foundations of making up this reality through speaking spells. There are many ways to observe it. All right. Some are going to be personalized to you. Some are not. Ride or die. You've heard that expression. It's 31. 31 is the degrees latitude of Bethlehem. 31 degrees north is the latitude of Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. The ride or die, that's you. And then you got to find your partner, your twin, to join together. But the 5 of diamonds is the 31st card in the deck, and then it goes into the tarot to get the picture. And what is this? What is this? Does that look pretty happy to you? It's the 69th card in the deck. And this card typically denotes hard times. It's the game of life. The ride or die is the game of life. It's you having this Jesus Christ superstar experience. That's what it is. So that 127, you can bring it all into the 31st prime number, tied to Gallium. Gallium's tied to the rooster. The rooster's tied to Chronos, which is time, which runs and operates this reality through that context of astrology. The King of Clubs. The King of Clubs is an air suit. All right? It's an air suit. It's the king of the mind of the cosmos. So the King of Hearts, fire. The King of Love, the fire that sets itself down into the earth to create the human being from spirit. But it joins with the air. Now it has a mind to think. And air makes fire hotter. And then it hits the diamonds, which is water, which cools off. And then it becomes the spade, which becomes man or woman. Okay? And then it's the spirituality. You're going to have all these cards in the context of you being a human being, but you're going to have your primaries. But the King of Clubs, 26th card in the deck, tied to the element iron. We have iron in our blood. This card right here is the card of September 11th. You know, so you could take that whole thing that happened there and you could say, well, it was them and they. No, it wasn't. They were being used. What do you mean by, folks, this reality is a movie. Why do you think all this nasty, gnarly stuff happens? Like inside your body right now, you think you're in control of the white blood cells, your immune system? No, you can maybe help it out by giving it influx of vitamin C or taking whatever and, keeping your body regulated. But you ain't got it. Once your body's regulated, you don't have to go and talk to your white blood cells to attack the foreign invaders. No, that's their job. Their programming is to attack the foreign invaders that come into your body. But the foreign invaders, who created those? What created those? Well, obviously it was the same thing that created the white blood cells, because there wouldn't be a job for the white blood cells if it wasn't for the parasites and bacteria. So inside your body is constantly war going on, but you don't pay any attention to it. Constantly war going on inside your body. And there's war constantly going on in this reality. It's just a fractal above. You could take, your blood, you can put it on a slide, you can look at all the activity going on, and there's nothing you can do about the activity. Yeah, sure, you can bleach it, you can put acid on it and kill that environment, but if you take a slide of your blood and put it on a microscope and you take a look at it, you're going to see a whole bunch of activity going on there. It does everything without your permission, because it's programmed to do it. It's designed that way. It's the same exact circumstances in this reality. Mankind is being used through these cosmical aspects. That's why when we decode, we can decode and we can see all the patterns. You can see all the outcomes. They're already predetermined. They're already predetermined. All of it. Your whole life is predetermined for you. And if there is a sliding scale of having a good experience or a bad one, it's going to be what you're focusing on. And that may be where the free will comes into play. So if you're not happy about your life, if you're not joyful, if you're like a big, grouch, a negative person, you're pissed off and angry, maybe you need to put yourself in check. Stop complaining and pointing the fingers. Maybe you need to put yourself on a timeout. Take some time away. Go put some time into you. That's what I'm saying. Decode yourself, folks. Yeah, God is laughing at everything and everyone. Yeah, because it's not real, folks. It's a movie. The next time you put on a show, the next time you put on a show or a movie, if you consciously pay attention to what I'm telling you right now, the next time you put on a show, see how you get emotionally involved with the characters, how you block out the outside world and you don't pay any attention to anything else but that show. And you'll see that's just you not knowing the separation of what's real and what's not real. So is this real? Well, we say it's real, feels real. But when you're in a movie, when you realize you're inside of a movie, you're being watched. It's a game changer. And then it's stupid to fight and argue about everything under the sun. It's just ridiculous to do that. It's absolutely worthless to start to divide yourself from other people and say, my way's the right way. And if you don't like it, you're going to go to hell, or you're not going to go to heaven, or, you're religious this, or you're not worshiping that. Or like, dude, that's not a blissful way to live. A blissful way to live is to decode yourself, figure out what your freaking job is here, and then get the hell out of the way of everybody else trying to do their job. And you're not trying to save anybody. Your job is to create a ripple. Figure out what your highest level of experience can be, and then go live out that life. And then what's going to happen is you're constantly creating a ripple. And that ripple is going to end up moving into, like, the ripple comes and it hits into this bottle. It affects the bottle. It affects the bottle. Like, water's programmable. You're programmable. Dr. Omodi from Japan proved it, that water is programmable. What do you think your body's made up of? Water. So you're programmable. I mean, we're literally living on the dielectric. I think the earth is the dielectric earth. And we get polarized, positive and negative. That's the angel and demon. Okay? That's what that is. Through these contexts. Okay, so those of you that Bones is saying, I failed. There's no failure. Get that out of your vocabulary. There's no such thing as failure. That's just an adjective to describe the subject that you're living through, which is the experience, your journey. You're having a journey, plain and simple. All right? You're having a journey. If you don't know your birth time, no problem. You won't be able to use some of the systems like the human design. But you can definitely look at the Enneagram. Another big favorite of mine, which I don't really talk about much, but it's amazing. You can take the test for the Enneagram. You can do the Briggs-Myers personality type, another amazing platform. And those of you that fancy the astrology, try to get a roundabout time of when you think you were born. Try to get your parents to, or any way you can, and then just plug it in there. And if you don't know, just put it at noon time. And you will not have the ability to see what houses the planets are at. Okay? The 12 houses, you won't be able to get accuracy with those. So you'll have to eliminate that. That's okay. But you'll still have the zodiac sign that it's in and what degree it's at. You'll have a little bit of variation maybe with the moon, but nonetheless, you'll still have the zodiac signs coupling with the celestial. And that's important. So you don't necessarily need and throw it away and say, I can't do my astrology because I don't have my birth time. A lot of people don't have their birth times. So just forget about that. Just plug in the closest time that you think you were born. You can use, I lost my string, but you can use a pendulum. You could do the dowsing, and you can ask yes or no questions to try to dial it in. You can use dowsing rods. There are many tools you can use to try to narrow it down, to dial it in to what your birth time was. And if you can't, if you really can't figure that out, then just guess. And then you'll have your chart. At least you'll have your chart. And then you can start to look at where the planets, the celestials are in those zodiac signs, where they're at in those chakras. That's important. That's why I really favor the sidereal, because you have that extra layer of the chakras. But you can take the chakras and you can place them over the Western chart. Still waiting for software to come out for that. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I could tell you about. All right, hold on. Someone's asking a question. Let me get the. Let me get the two cards. Okay, so those of you that have the Queen of Clubs for your birth card, Santos Bonacci has that for his birthday. This card is the Queen of Air, the Queen of the Mind. It's the 25th card in the deck. And the 25 is tied to Xenos, the stranger. The queens are tied to the stranger in your head. Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Clubs, Queen of Spades. Queen of Spades is card 51. That's tied to antimony, the all-seeing eye of Horus. The queen represents the voice in your head to create. But this card, this queen right here, man, is like the all-knowing, the oracle, psychic, super powerful. You got to look at other layers to it. This is your ego card. You're going to have the Three of Hearts as your spirit card. This is how your mind works. This is the card of celebration, the Three of Fire, the Three of Trinity, the Three of Creation, right here. This is tied to lithium on the periodic table. Lithium they give to people that have brain disorders. I think we're all bipolar, all of us, to some degree. But if you think about it, lithium, the brain, this is tied to the brain. This is the card of celebration. In the tarot, it's going to be the Three of Cups. That's card number 39. That's tied to Lucifer. But it's this, if you have these two cards, well, you want to lean a lot towards the Three of Hearts because it's a card of celebration. Rejoicing in life, realizing that you came here and you're playing out a huge part with the Queen of Clubs, the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands in the tarot, card number 35. 35 is tied to the word simulation. The Queen of Wands from the Queen of Clubs is card 35. Card 35 is tied to the word simulation. It's also the longitude of Jesus Christ's birth city, Bethlehem. Bethlehem, 35 degrees east. So the simulation's tied to the Jesus Christ superstar experience. The most popular story on the world stage, ladies and gentlemen, the collective, tied to the simulation. So that's what those cards mean right there. Card 25, so you have lithium and manganese. Manganese, okay? Manganese being tied to the number 54, going back to phosphorus and Lucifer again. The light bringer. Forget about the devil crap. Forget about that. Just, it's the light game. We're playing out the light game down here. That's what Christmas means, the light game. It's the light game. You know, I missed this. When I did my Decode of Christmas, if you haven't seen it, please check it out. I forgot to put this slide in there, but I want to show all of you since we're talking about it. Now, there are many cards that make up Christmas, but let me show you the two primaries. Here they are right here for Christmas, okay? So because Christmas is sending the sun down to earth, sending light down to earth, December 25th is this card right here. And if you look at the tarot, this is pretty big, folks, so hang on to your seats, okay? Here it is. Christmas, December 25th, when the sun, if you look at it from a celestial, forget about all the other religious crap. The sun dies for 3 days, it goes into a standstill, and then on December 25th, it moves 1 degree. It finally moves. It rises up out of the tomb. So, the story of the Christ being put in the tomb is, none of us were there. We don't know if that really happened, but I know the sun rises 1 degree on December 25th. I know that. You see it every year. So this is the card tied to December 25th. The card number 6. 6 is tied to the third eye. The Ida and Pingala, where the Kundalini rises up. We're having a vision. Close your eyes and now you're having the Jesus Christ super, oh my God, I can be whatever I want when I close my eyes. Yeah, you can be whatever you want. What do you want to be? Make thy eye single. 6, carbon. So light says, I'm going to go play the game and I'm going to do it on this day, the day of December 25th, because celestial lineup is the sun dies on 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then it rises 1 degree on the 25th. So it comes out of its tomb. Then the sun is born again. And this is the card. You're coming down to play the light game, and this is the tarot that's associated with it. Look at the symbology of that. It's chivalry. It's the male chasing the female. Here you go. Let me give you some flowers because I want to get in your pants. I mean, I'm just being funny here because that's how it works. If you're a dude, love is great for sure, but we're being fun here. Like, that's what you're here to your job is to procreate. That's why the game needs players down here. Yeah, among so many other things, experiencing these feelings and emotions, amazing. But ultimately, this is what this card means. It means nostalgia. Card 42. Card 42. And it's derived from the 6 of hearts. 6 of fire. Fire, the sun, coming down to become man or woman. And then the card that it links to, bam, this one, the 3 of diamonds. This is card number 29. And it's tied to the element copper. Copper is devil's copper. And then you instantly and automatically you have the devil. And why do we have the devil? Because it's you, it's me. Carbon from the Christ, from the birth of the sun, is 666. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutron. Carbon. Carbon is 6 protons. It's got an atomic weight of 12. 6 plus 12 is 18. Jesus and Christ equal 18. So it's the sun coming down from plasma right here. This is the number, the last day of creation, by the way. The first perfect number is 6 in mathematics. It comes down to become man. In the golden ratio, 1.6. And then it pairs up with this. And what do you got there? 63 and 36. And what is Jesus Christ in numerology? 36. Operating system, 36. The 10 of diamonds. This makes up the 10 of diamonds, which now is tied to Jupiter. And this is where you're going to get, this is why this is one of the most powerful cards in it. Donald Trump's got this. Bernie Sanders has got this. One of the most powerful cards in the deck. Why? Because it's tied right to the devil. It's tied right to light, becoming into man or woman. 3 is 1 half of the 33. If you take 6 times 3, what do you got? 18. That's Jesus and Christ. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9, you're going to get the magic square of Saturn. There's so many ways to look at this. That's just one way. Then you get the 3 of spades, card 42, and that's tied to Christmas, etc. So that's really what Christmas ultimately means. Scraping away the paganism and what it really means, and Saturnalia and all the things that have been attached to it. The aspect of Christmas. And you're talking from a guy I was a JW growing up, right? It was like, it's pagan, we're not gonna, but in almost my whole life, I never really paid attention to it, never really celebrated it. It was like, I'm just so used to not to. It's just another day. The other day, I was, you know what I was doing on Christmas? I was decoding by myself. I was totally fine with it though. But the Christmas means the birth of man. It means the sun coming down to play the light game. That's where Santa Claus comes in. Santa Claus comes down the chimney. The chimney is from the third eye down to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is the third chakra. There it is. It's the third eye coming down into the solar plexus, the third. And you're now in the belly of the beast, which is run by the devil, and the devil is light. It's light, folks. That's where we do all our sinning. I know people do things in the dark, but let's go into a dark room, turn off all the lights, and let's see how much activity you get done. You ain't getting shit done in the pitch black room. Very little. You need light to do stuff. And that's Christmas. Christmas. And like I said, the Romans did their thing. People have bolted on, like, they're okay, now I'm gonna take this origin and I'm gonna add this to it. And I'm gonna add a tree with a star, and I'm gonna put ornaments on it, and then I'm gonna give gifts, and I'm gonna leave cookies and milk out for Santa, and I'm do all that, and I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna Santa, I'm gonna be, all this stuff is all bolted on to the true aspect of what Christmas really means. It's celestial. It's the sun rising up again from its death on December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. That's the true meaning of it. Okay. If you take the cards, in the upside down position, which I showed, let me show all of you that. If I move the cards to these right here, this card, if you paid attention, this is the 42nd card in the deck. This is the day the Truman Show came out. The Truman Show came out on June 1st, premiered on June 1st. This is the June 1st card. 3 of spades, card 42. 42 is tied to molybdenum, which means lead. This is in position 18 on the charts for the cards of Illumination. So we have a variation. We have the 3 of diamonds, and we also have the 3 of spades. Doesn't matter. Okay, the spade obviously is going to represent man. 42, life, the universe, everything. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Noel Adams. Spade means man. Diamond means Lucy in the sky. Light in the sky with diamonds. But the spade is going to be co-partnered with the 6 of diamonds. Card 32. This is the spirit card of the 3 of spades in the tarot to get the picture. Let me show you that. This is how beautiful this is, folks. It's amazing right here. Bam! There, it's the 6 of pentacles. What do you think this is? This is the spirit card of the 3 of spades. It's the God giving to people. It's giving to you and I. And it's got the scales in the hand because it's balanced. The 6 of diamonds, which is the counterpart to the 3 of spades. And the 3 of spades is the freaking heartbreak card. It's you playing the game. You're playing the game, and there's a lot of heartbreak here. It doesn't mean that you're going to have like a knife in the heart. It just means you're going to be a human being and you're going to experience life. The Truman Show is the 3 of spades. Think about the Truman Show. Truman Show until he figured it out. And, remember, if you look at the Truman Show, what happened for the majority of the movie? He was in bliss. He was in heaven. He was in a beautiful, but he was in a great city, had a great life, great career. There's like all these merry people around him. Nothing wrong with it. But he questioned things. That's what the human being experience does. It questions things. So here's the card of the Truman Show. It doesn't mean doom and gloom. It just means that you now have to go up. That's what it means. This card right here, by the way, if you checked out my blockchain decoded, this one right here, January 3rd, 2009, the Genesis block 04 Bitcoin. You place in the astrological chart where this card is, Saturn, Kronos is in this nakshatra, and it is right across the way from Daddy Uranus in the 25th nakshatra. He's handing, Saturn essentially is taking money, taking currency, and giving it to his dad. And technology, crypto. Now we have cryptocurrency. That's how that looks. And a lot of people are fighting it. They don't want to do it. Like, doesn't mean you're going to end your life as a human being, folks. I mean, if you're a fan of that show, Altered Carbon, they're talking 300 years into the future. I think eventually we're going to move into a lot of what that show in Westworld, and a lot of that is what it's talking about. But I think we got a long way to go to get there. I mean, these ages, 2,160 years, I mean, you know, a long way to go. And 42 is also tied to the Great Pyramid of Egypt. You know, that's an interesting point because the tarot, again, I'm going to look at the tarot. Remember, you're on television. You're on television in numerology equals the number 73. The blood, the pH of the blood, is the starting point of it being balanced 7.3. You're on television, your blood, 7.3. You're on television, 73. You see how this works? It's beautiful. So it tells you the story. And 73 is the 21st prime number. And the 21st card in the major arcana, of course. You're on television. You've gone down through the Stargate of astrology. You've become a man or woman, and now you're on television having a human being experience. Are you going to be a star or are you going to be an extra? Is there free will to determine that? Maybe. I'd like to think so. 73 and 21 is 94, and you're going to get plutonium and time travel, Back to the Future. And plutonium essentially is Shiva, the destroyer of worlds. When it's time to destroy the world, it will. Start it all over again. But the word Egypt in numerology, 21. 21. This is the card of Egypt. You're on television. That's why I had postulated doing a few podcasts with Jason Bashir. He doesn't think so, but I think so. I think the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, has so much to do with this reality. And if that thing got wiped out, I think our reality would change in a big way. Something to do with like some key to that thing. But to go further with the 21, let me show all of you to get the minor arcana. There you go. So we know Saturn's 21, right? But Saturn's called Kronos as well, and that's 26. But it's tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh for sure, because Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is 26. Kronos is 26. So there is some tie-ins to that, and of course 26 is iron in our blood and being on television. But the world card being card 21 has a correlation to this card right here, the Eight of Wands. And the bridge is going to be through the cards of illumination. You're going to get the 8 of clubs. And this card right here is the card of the simulation. This one. This card right here is card 21. 21 is the world card in the major arcana, but we flip it into the minor and we now get this card. Guess what card this is? Card 30. 30 is tied to the rabbit. The rabbit went down the hole in the medicine deck. Follow the rabbit. 30 is tied to the new age name of the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh called Jehovah. And that's tied to the sun. But this card right here, if you have this as your birth card, you're psychic. Start to, own that space. Any 8. If you have an 8, man, it's like it's a very interesting number to have. And then the suit. So this is an air suit. I know, like, what's his name? Nicholson, for the Montauk Project. Preston Nichols. Go study that guy. Was he trying to mock and screw you over and pull the woolly over your eyes? Or, this is his birth card. This right here is on space. Let me show all of you here real quick. If you look at this chart, okay, this chart right here, let me get these. Oops. Okay. So here is the chart for ground zero, right here to the right. You see my cursor moving over it, okay? The life configuration. And here's the 8 of clubs right here. Sits in the Mars-Neptune line, the driver, okay? This is going to be Mars is your drive towards the feminine. And it's Neptune, and Neptune runs the dreams, okay? Neptune runs the dreams and being psychic, highly psychic. And this right here is sitting on space number 35. Okay, all these spaces are numbered like a bingo chart. And this is space number 35. There are many ways to configure this, but I know that this is space 52 because this is the 52nd card in the deck, the King of Spades. So the only way to go is to the right. So this is space number 51. And this is card number 51 right here, the Queen of Spades. This is card number 50. Okay? So there's merit to this crown line right here. And this 35, space 35, is the 8 of clubs. And the word simulation equals 35. So what do you think this card's all about? And it doesn't have another card beyond it. It's the 8 of clubs straight up. It's this card, the Jack of Hearts, and the King of Spades. These 3 cards do not have any other cards attached to their associations. So if you're born with these, like there's only one birthday for the King of Spades, January 1st. That's it. 1-1. This Jack of Hearts will have multiple. This is space number 39, tied to Lucifer, tied to Jesus. This is one of the Jesus Christ cards. It's got the letter J right on it. And then the 8 of clubs. And this is tied to the world card. The world card sits right here, and it's tied to the 35th space. And 35, when you go to numerology, it's simulation. Simulation, 35. And it's this element right here, gadolinium. 35 is gadolinium. You go to the periodic table and you look at the element. What do you think? What do you see right there? You're on television. You're live in front of the whole world. Look at the discovery date. It's got the 188 in there. All right? This is telling you that you're on TV. The melting point, 1313. There's so many clues with this. But that's what this means, because gadolinium is 35 and it matches the word simulation. Okay? Baphomet equals 36, same as Jesus Christ. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, you got... If there is such a thing as duping people, like trying to really screw you over, try to get your control, how would you do it? Well, I mean, if you look on the world stage, you would think that whatever's running this reality, pretty smart. And it's not looking for the minority. It's looking for the majority. Well, then you would ask the question, what does the majority look towards? What does the majority worship? What does the majority pray to? What does the majority pledge to? And then you start to use your logic and discernment. Because this reality is not based on the minority. It's after the majority. It's common sense. The collective. All right? I mean, Baphomet's 36. Let me just show all of you. Let me see here. Switch to the chart. So 36 right here. Here's card 36. 10 of diamonds. This card right here is called the Fortunate Blessings card. So if you got this attached to your life, you're going to have, you have the ability to have a fortunate life. Tom Brady, winner of 7 Super Bowl rings, 10 of diamonds. The artist formerly known as Prince, 10 of diamonds. Prince Roger Nelson. Michael Jackson, 10 of diamonds. Why did they get this card? Michael Richard Pence, 10 of diamonds. And the word operating equals 36. This is card 36. And if you come over here, it sits in space 25. 25 is tied to the word Xenos, the stranger in your head. Okay? And you just go here, and there's the Queen of Clubs right there. It's card 25 in the spirit side. And the queens seemingly are the voice in your head. That's why this card right here is the 51st card in the deck. Because if you go to the periodic table, what do you see there? Well, it's the all-seeing eye that's in your brain. And you go right to the chart, and it's space 51. There it is. Space 51, Queen of Spades, 8 of diamonds. This is card 34. This is tied to the moon as well, because 34 is tied to selenium. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Okay? This really is a very big piece of all of this, these crown lines. These are all a big deal in how these cards move and how they operate, how they work, et cetera, et cetera. So we just got to start paying attention to them all. But Baphomet sits at that 10 of diamonds spot through the numerology. That's right. Prince and Michael Jackson, both JWs. So was I. So was Santos. So was a lot of other people I know. I don't poo-poo on it. Like, I get it. But I know exactly what that whole organization's all about. I see through, everything has beauty to it. I've been to the mega churches, beautiful. But you can easily start to dissect and break those down. You can do it with anything, really, if you start to pay attention to this stuff. From what I know, entering the dark is the way out, light is the deception. Yeah, I mean, that's a big buzz going around right now. Think about when you came into this world, you came from the womb. Is there any light inside the stomach of the mother? Nope. Zero light in there. You come from the dark. You're born into this world, you're born into the light. That's probably one of the reasons why babies cry when they come out of the womb, because they're afraid of the light. They're like, what the hell's this? You're coming from the dark into the light. Typical seed in the ground, the ones that are in the soil, they reach for the light, they go up. See, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we can postulate that we may never get out of this game. You may never leave this game. The only thing you'll do is change characters. Now, I know a lot of you, again, I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying it's possible. That's all I'm saying. And if it's more truth than being possible, well, then what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do about it. So then if we take that into consideration, let's just hypothetically say that we never leave this game. We just reincarnate and reincarnate. I know a lot of people, they want to get out of here, but you don't even know what out of here looks like. You don't even know what's on the other side, man. You think the grass is greener. You've never even been there. What if it's not? Life's pretty amazing when you get into your groove and you decode yourself and you figure out and you stop pointing fingers and stop paying attention to the people you can't stand. You can't stop paying attention to the resistance and the collective on the world stage. When you disengage from that, life becomes so much more blissful. Some of you, I see people's codes. Some people were born to go push up against that. I can say right now, I am so glad I didn't get that code. I'm so glad I didn't get that code. Fighting, and the cortisol raises, the stress levels, you just decay quicker. That's like hell. Being born into that code, that's like a version of hell. Getting up and having to go fight the system, that's like hell. Fight the system, the collective, which is much bigger than you. Oh, I know, you're going to get 500 people and you're going to go fight. But it raises it just does a number on the body. So I look at that and I'm saying, I'm so grateful that I got this. Because no matter what, I'm going to face death at some point in my life. And how I get there, that's the most important part of it. And if I get there by fighting, kicking, and screaming, not only do I decay faster, not only do I become more acidic, not only will my chances go up of catching a sickness or disease, but my life quality will go down. So I'm not suggesting to any of you to change your course of action and stop doing what you're doing if you feel that's the right thing to do. Because again, I've decoded people and I see them that their code is designed to go fight the system. I've seen it with my own two eyes, breaking down people's codes. That's what they incarnated for. But the most important thing is what you incarnated for. What did you incarnate for? What gets you off, man? What rings your bell? Some people like to live a life of misery and negativity. They love it. It's like a drug to them. And I look at that and I'm like, I am so glad I didn't get that code. I mean, I've been through the ringer in my life. I've been through like I said, I've been addictions. I've gone to prison. I was in the military. That's another form of prison. I've done a lot of, I've done a lot of bad things in my life. But it ain't the person I am today. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not even close to the same person. Because all that matters is the now moment. And how did I get there? Through doing the work. Through tons and years of personal development. Refining myself. Decoding myself, decoding those around me, and realizing they're not going to change for me, so why would I go push up against those people? That's just a shitty move. It's not only a bad move personally for you as an individual, but it will push them, and you want to push someone's buttons, go try to tell them what to do. Yeah, you should be doing this. You should be doing. Well, who says? Your ego says that. So if we look at the astrological placements, partly there could be some merit to not being reactory to when these placements show up in our lives. I say that these planetary positions in astrology, they're hungry. Mars is hungry. Venus is hungry. Saturn is hungry. And they want to get fed. And what do they perhaps do to get fed? They'll put something in your life to happen, to spice it up a little bit. Like you get into a rut and you seem like there's no hope and you're ready to take yourself out. You're ready to check out. And you have an important code. So maybe the celestials will be like, you know what? We need to give this person a miracle. And miracles happen all the time. People experience miracles and all of a sudden they turn their lives around and next thing you know, they're playing the game again. The game needs players, folks. That's the whole fundamental of this reality, is that it needs human beings for life to go on. And there will always be kicking, screaming, fighting, dystopia, utopia. It's in nature. Go look at nature. These animals they're not looking to go to war. They could care less about having borders. They could care less about, they have their territories. Sure. But they don't need to have militaries, and they're predators or they're prey. That's it. And it's death and regeneration. And mankind, if you decode it, you come to the realization that you and we are killing machines. Each day you walk outside, you're stepping on shit. You're killing insects all the time. You don't pay any attention to it. You know what? If you're not consciously awake, you know what you'll say? Oh, they're just bugs. Who cares? That's not service to others, man. That's not really living the life that you came here. Like, everybody counts. Everything counts. Skin color doesn't matter. Ethnic background doesn't matter. Your hair color doesn't matter. Your code matters. You as an individual, that's what matters. So go decode yourself. Step up to the plate. Raise your consciousness. Become the best version of yourself. And then everybody will feel it around you. And then let everybody else do what they got to do. If they're in a rut, let them be in their rut. Maybe they need to experience that through their code. You don't need to go run to somebody's, like a lot of people, they run to people. I used to do this, man, as a coach. I would just arbitrarily go up and I would be like, hey, can I help you? And they don't ask him for my help. Now, I know you would think, well, wait a minute, you want to do that as a loving human being. Yeah, you may go and do it like, hey, can I suggest something? That's a little bit different. But people just want to just get up on your ass and they want to tell you like, oh, girl, you should be doing it this way. Or dude, what the hell are you doing? Who asked you? Nobody asked you. But you see, we want to be right. We want to be the winners. We want to be able to be the one that we can walk around my identity and I helped that person and I need a pat on the back. And all you're looking for is affirmations. You're looking for acknowledgement to make yourself feel better as a human being. That's what the whole human being experience is. The whole human being experience is about looking good. That's what it's all about. How you look in front of the public. Do I smell? Does my perfume smell good? Do I look good do I have a nice purse on my arm? Am I wearing a nice jacket? We all do it. All of us do it. All of us, because you have an ego that is the adversary of your spirit. And the spirit doesn't give two shits about what you look like, but the ego does. And you got to take that into consideration because the ego is what navigates your life. And you got to control it. You got to control that ego, folks. And you do it through decoding yourself. The basic fundamentals. That's how you are able to make friends with your ego instead of saying it's a bad thing. Or trying to tell people, you just think your ego is this. Dude, you're the one who's bringing it up. I'm not coming at you. I get people all the time coming at me. Like, oh, Logan, you think you're this. I didn't say anything. These are my truths. I say it right in front of almost all my videos. I put a disclaimer on there. It right there. Like, you don't have to believe what I got to say. But then they come with their ego and they push up against, and that's what just causes division. They're just totally being an asshole. And it's like, why are you showing up this way? Like, what are you trying to prove here? Whether your way is the right way and I'm wrong? Dude, we're both right. So kick stones. Right? I don't need your energy here. It's not welcome. But that's how most people show up. Most people show up with, they got to be right. They got to prove you wrong. And then they sacrifice love. What does the number 1111 mean? Well, there's so many variations of 1111. The date 1111. This is a good topic. This is a good to kind of break. I kind of got off topic on decoding because now I'm getting into personal stuff. Should have just did a what's your question but a good date. Now this is the 1111 date. And forget about, the Gregorian calendar and forget about this changing crap. Everything's run by the supernatural. All the adjustments, all the layers that are adjusted. It's all pre-planned. It's all laid out that way. Golden age to dark age, repeat. 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 We're in the dark age, so you're going to have a lot of crappy experiences in the dark age. Doesn't mean that we're not in a cycle. Anyway, 1111. 1111, November 11th. November 11th. Tied to Scorpio and Libra. Libra. I now pronounce it Libra. I think that's the correct pronunciation of it. Libra. Libra. The two scales. But you have Libra and Scorpio. Vedic and tropical. This is the card for 1111. So here's one of the tie-ins to this question. Somebody asked, what does the 1111 mean? If you've been seeing the 1111, what does it mean? Well, I can tell you one part of it and what it means. It's this card right here. Card number 22. The word Michael equals 22. Who's Michael? Tied to Jesus. So 1111 is tied to the Christ. And Jesus says, I'm coming with a sword. That's what he said. I'm going to swear right now. You should have said, I'm coming with a sword, motherfucker. That's probably what he really said. But this nine of clubs, he ain't playing, man. That's like Shiva the Destroyer. The nuclear, clearing the board. The nine of clubs, 1111 date. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio was born on 1111. Leo, the sun. Card 22. 22 is tied to Michael. And then it gets converted into the tarot, and this is what it looks like. The wounded warrior. And this is card number 31. Ride or die is 31. So you have the ride or die tied to the earth. You have the ride or die tied to the Jesus Christ experience, which is you, which is me, which is everybody. It's also Lucifer, the light bringer, because the light bringer is the light giver, the light of the world. It's all the same crap, folks. Just keep it simple. Do you want to be a good person or do you want to be a shitty person? Who do you want to work for? Which one? Pick one. It's pretty simple. Which one? Which one is it going to be? Forget about all the stories. It's the wounded warrior, 1111. So if you start seeing that number, well, I mean, it's reminding you that you, like, what are you doing in life? Anytime you see the 1111, it should be a reminder like, okay, yeah, what am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the good in the life? Am I being utopian here? Or am I just pushing up and being dystopian? Put yourself in check when you see the 1111. 11 is sodium. Jesus says, ye are the salt of the earth. Sodium is tied to the brain. Brain equals 11 in numerology. 11 is sodium. It's your brain. You got two hemispheres of the brain. That's the yin yang. Good cop, bad cop. It's really simple, folks. You're never going to get rid of it. You will never get rid of the good cop, bad cop. And even people that are living like, you know, certain lives, what are they thinking? It's one thing not to say things, but like, what's your mind thinking? Because you're not in control of that voice in your head. I don't think so. Yeah, money equals 22. Dragon equals 22. What is the dragon? The sine wave, the dollar bill, the sine and cosine wave. It's all frequency, vibrations, colors, frequency, vibration, numbers to measure that. And there's many moving parts to this. Manly P. Hall pronounces it Libra. Yeah, I was always pronouncing it Libra. Libra, but then I realized, and this wasn't too long ago, I'm like, oh my God, it's Libra, and then Lib-Ra. Well, if you know what Ra is, huge. Ra. Let me take you on a little journey here, folks, real quick. Let's talk decoding. So, Ra, radium, okay? These people, I have this shelf, but I had decoded. These people were being, you should see the decoding of these two people that discovered radium. Huh, ridiculous. They also discovered polonium, et cetera, but it means ray. And if you take yttrium and put it next to them, you're gonna get ray there. But radium, when you come down, let me look at the melting point. 696, hello. 969 in Kelvin, hello. You come down to the uses and properties. No, I'm sorry, wait a minute. I'm talking about the oxidation states. You come down here and you're going to, oh, they changed it. It used to be 1600. But it's 1600 years right here. If you just go and you look at radium, the radium's half-life. There it is, 1600 years. All right? That means the decay of radium, half of it dies out in 1600 years for 226. And then you go look at the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I wonder where that is the location of. Well, it just so happens to be the location of the capital of the Washington, D.C. How about that? So you have the capital of the largest and most powerful government in the world with 1600, and then you have the half-life of radium, element 88, which is Ra, and then you have this right here, which is the headquarters of Google. 1600. How about that? What do you think the coincidence would be? Maybe they're trying to screw you over and really mock you by building these places at these addresses. What do you think about that, folks? All tied to radium and Ra. Ra, the sun god. It's really, really interesting. And this 88 is pretty awesome, man. 88 miles an hour. I mean, time travel, et cetera, et cetera. It's pretty cool. But Lib-Ra. I showed the Georgia Guidestones came down. They were tied to Ra and radium and pi. The day that it came down. From the origination date of when it was built to the day it came down, radium, Ra. So what took down the Georgia Guidestones? Well, I'm sure that somebody had a hand in it, but it was supernatural. It's just funny, man. Oh, Laura, my address is 1600. Beautiful. Going through your comments. Yeah, so some of you, Stephen, thanks for that. I'm Libra and Scorpio. So some of you will be a double sign, meaning that you will have a double rising sign. Your tropical astrology will be a different rising sign from your sidereal, from your Vedic. Your sun sign may be different in the Western tropical versus the sidereal. I mean, I am one of those people. I have an Aquarius sun in the tropical, but I have a Capricorn sun in the sidereal. And then I read from both, and guess what? They're both accurate. So why fight about which system's got what? They both have merit to them. And especially, I think the rising sign is such a big part of who we are as human beings. So knowing where your rising sign is and then knowing your tarot card at your rising position through the Chakras is really important to look at. What's your rising sign tied to in the tarot? These are all layers that are going to be coming out in my course, folks. These are all pieces of who you are as a human being. This is how we're going to make lemonade out of this reality. This is how relationships are going to become more fruitful. By studying your partner and looking at your partner and seeing your partner and them showing up a certain way, and then you not trying to meddle in the way they're showing up. Now, yeah, there are some parameters that we have to take into consideration, programming from childhood traumas and all that kind of, but that's stuff that you need, that's stuff that we all should be doing is shadow work and getting rid of the trauma. And it's not really that difficult. But most people don't want to pay attention to that stuff because it's ugly. It can get scary. Some people don't want to let go of it because they use it through victim mentality. Some of you out there right now, you live through your childhood traumas and it works for you. You get a payoff, like Werner Erhard said. If you live through a victim mentality, through your coding, you get what's called a payoff. Every time you say, I was this, I was that, you're going to get people probably saying, oh, it's okay, and you get attention. That's the payoff you get. Everything that we do in this reality gets a payoff. Payoff meaning you get an energy exchange. When you decode, you type a word into the cipher, you get a payoff, you get the results. You tie it to alchemy, you get a payoff. You get the alchemical element it's tied to. Everything gets a payoff here in this reality. It's pretty cool. Payoff 33. It's awesome. Saturn in the first house, Kronos in the first house. What would I say about that? Well, Kronos in the first, and you got to look at the nakshatra that it's in, but and then what zodiac sign it's in. But the first house represents your identity. It's defaulted by Aries, and it's the Magician card. So if you just use the picture, let me just get the picture because it makes it easier. So when you're talking about your ego and your identity, and then Kronos moves in there, what does Kronos represent? Kronos represents crossing T's, dotting I's, structure, foundation. What was I looking for? Magician. Saturn's job is restriction. Saturn says no. No, you can't do that. Nope, these are the laws. Nope. So the first house of astrology is the Magician. And this is what we all use when we come out into this world. The very first magic you speak is when you cry as a baby. First time you speak and cry, that's your magic coming out. That's you trying to speak. That's you trying to create your magical spells, but you're not using vocabulary because you haven't been programmed with those yet. So everybody has this in their first house of astrology. It's going to be tied to your rising sign. And everybody here will have Aries as the default. Always. Even if it's not in the first house, it will still be there by default. So this is your identity. This is you creating magic. This is you taking charge. This is using your masculine energy, because the first house is always ruled by Mars. Always. So they're always going to be playing out their part in the background, saying, hey man, I'm going to pull the strings here a little bit. And you go into this world and you create your magic through Mars energy, your testosterone. Everybody has testosterone. Women have more estrogen, but they still have testosterone. It's your drive. You're going to go into war. Okay. And you're going to start to create. I'm number one. I'm number one. I is the number one. The letter I is the number one. I am that I am. I am this. I am Logan. When Saturn moves in here, Saturn is very slow moving, but he's a restrictor. So Saturn is typically 29 and a half, you might as well stay 30 years. And Saturn's usually going to restrict you for your first 30 years. That's typical in astrology, where you got to wait. Like once you hit 30, then kind of the training wheels fall off, so to speak, because he gets out of your house. He gets out of your life for 30 years. Then you get a Saturn return at 60. But Saturn, because it restricts things, because he wants to cross the T's and dot the I's, it can make your childhood very restrictive. It can make you like you could become a rebel, because it's going to force you to cross your T's and dot the I's. It can do this. It can force you to be meticulous. It can force you to be a perfectionist. You don't want to get things wrong. Saturn doesn't want to be wrong. So you're going to be this person that is perhaps going to be somebody who's very meticulous about the way you look, the way you talk, the way you do your actions, the way you spin your magic on the world stage. But there are going to be other factors involved. Are there any other planets influencing the first house? What nakshatra is it in? In both the Western and the sidereal. But Saturn is always going to restrict the house that it's in. It's going to make that house like, okay, you're going to do it this way. You're going to do it. He forms laws and structure. That's why in astrology, lady, like when you look at, especially tropical, the sun goes around, doesn't go around, but it forms a diamond shape, but it goes around the ecliptic, around the wheel. And when it looks like, and I'm not going to get into the flat earth stuff or round or concave, don't care. But when the sun appears to come up over the horizon and you get first light, that's the sunrise. When you go into a court of law, if you're a lucky one, if you're lucky enough to go to court, that's humor. What do you do when you get into court? It's 8:30 in the morning and court is in session at 9. And you're sitting there and you're on your 40, you're waiting and waiting. Everybody's sitting down. And then all of a sudden the judge walks in from his chambers. He's wearing all black. Who do you think the judge is? Kronos. And what does the bailiff say? All rise, because you're the son of God. All rise, the sun is rising, and you stand up. And the sun says yes, and Saturn says no. So you have expansion and contraction going on. But the judge, if they're not corrupt, if they're in the golden age, if they're doing things by the books of Kronos, they're going to judge from a very balanced way of life. When you look at this card right here, this King of Spades, the King of the Earth. All right, it's heavily an energy that's tied to Saturn. And this king is the King of Swords in the tarot. And the King of Swords is the card number 64. So this is another great synchronization here. It'll be 63 or 64, but there you go. Here's the judge standing in front of you at the courtroom. This is the card that represents the judge, all judges. And if you read about this tarot card, this card right here, this judge does not rule with emotions. No emotions. it hears your story, it hears their story, and it judges based upon logic. I know a lot of judges, they get emotional. I mean, I probably would too. We're human beings, but the true essence of Chronos, when it's not corrupt, is logical, authoritative, and will provide the right opportunity for the best case scenario for the outcome. But that's what you're looking at when you walk into a courtroom. The King of Spades, the King of the Earth. Because you are dead. Well, I mean, there is that going around. I mean, I'm pretty much alive. I'm not dead at all. I mean, yeah, you could say we're at, you're in maritime law. The body's water. This is a vessel. So you get into all those terminologies. And you get into the corporation. But I mean, I'm very much alive just like you are. So that context of being dead, yeah, you could say that through the constructs of maritime law and this being a vessel and water and being docked and birth certificates and all that kind of jargon. Also, I'm not going to get into all that, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But I'm going to tell you, man, Saturn, you look at it from the celestial, you look at astrological charts like I do, man. I mean, it can be nasty, which is why it's, referenced. I mean, Santos is like it's Satan. I mean, there's a lot of merit to that. You got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, like you playing a video game, if you play Minecraft or SimCity or you play a game that's not real and you're creating a city or you're creating a simulation of your own, you're the controller of that. You call the shots. You create what it is that you see in your mind. You have your army. There's, War of Warcraft, and like you're controlling a side. Is that video game real? Well, obviously you're going to say no, it's not. But it's a fractal down below this reality right here. But this is not where it stops. You then go to a fractal to the supernatural, and now you get the supernatural with the remote control. Going through your comments. Yeah, court. I mean, look, court, I can see how it would serve its purpose when it's during the golden age, when there's no corruption, when it's there for law and order. I can see how it would have its structure and merit, but you got to realize that we're not in the golden age anymore. So when you go into a court, there's a lot of greasing pockets. There's a lot of money floating around. There's a lot of do me favors there. It's not pure anymore. So when you go into a court of law, you're not going to have the favor there. That's why I said if you're lucky enough. It's a joke. But as I was saying, Saturn in astrology, let me see if I have let me show you guys a few things here. Do I have this up? Hang on a sec, folks. Let's see if I can find it. Let me just open this. Let me show you a few things. Hang on a sec. Okay. Let's open this up. Let me show all of you guys something, you guys and gals. So let's start with this right here. Just one slide. I forgot I wanted to show all of you tonight. But this will lead to the Queen of Diamonds, the Queens for sure. But you can clearly see, and this, I'm really moving away from using multiple words, connecting them, and I'm really trying to, really move more into the patterns of mathematics and et cetera, and try to use just one word rather than use these filler words like the, and of, because these are going to, these are the filler words. And so the main is, game and life, game and life. Game is death. Life is angel. Life is matrix. But you can clearly see the voice in your head is a match to the game of life. 59 is a prime number. Okay. And these are the two cards through the tarot to get the picture, because again, the Fool, if you move it out of the 22nd position, you would then move these cards back and the 9 of Swords would become the 8 of Swords. And, this is my birth card. So I mean, this is one of the reasons why I'm doing my job. Like, I'm the tour guide showing you the amusement park and how all these rides work and operate. And this one right here, the description of this is trapped and limited. Check out my prison planets. So this can be card 58 or 59. And then this card can be 59 or 60 right here. And you can clearly see that this card right here, it should have been the 9 of Swords, but let me just double check this. Hold on. Yeah, it should have been the 9 of Swords. Damn it, I had it wrong. But these two cards right here will represent the game of life. It's the 8 of Swords or the 9 of Swords. And you can clearly see it's like, this is like nightmares, and the word nightmare equals 30, role play equals 30, demiurge equals 30. Well, if you're coming down, maybe you have no choice and you're like, oh shit, I got to go play that game. I don't want to, like a lot of you don't want to come back. But when you come into this reality, this is Puppet Master now, right? You have no choice. It doesn't mean you're going to be completely strapped in and you can't do anything about it. Life can be very blissful. But the voice in your head, it owns you. You're trapped and limited until you die, and you don't even know what happens after that. These are the two cards tied to the voice in your head. Right? The voice in your head. And then I wanted to show all of you really quickly. I had shown this before with my World War II and Adolf Hitler. And the placement of Saturn. And because we were talking about Saturn and how it can be really Satan, it can really be evil. And the invasion of Poland, the Saturn placement for the invasion of Poland is right here. Okay, the placement for the invasion of Poland on September 1st, number 1, it's Saturn is in the first nakshatra. This started on the 1st of September. Okay, and it's in the sign of Aries, the ram, which is the magician. And you look over here in Adolf's chart, and he's got in his 7th house, opposite his 1st, he's got Mars and the sun here in the sign of Aries. And Mercury, the planet of communication, somehow seemingly being the one that communicates back and forth to spirit. But Saturn in the placement of this invasion of Poland, this is at like 4:45 in the morning when they first invaded Poland, there's Saturn in the 9th house. The 9th house. And 9, of course, is tied to Pandora's box because 1 through 9 is going to be Saturn's magic square. It's got 9 numbers on it. So it's in the 9th house, ruled by Sagittarius, but Aries is here. And Aries is ruled by Mars. So Mars is not here, but Mars is still playing out its part. It's Mars going into war. And we got Kronos there, forcing this invasion. This is the supernatural running it. And if you come over to Adolf's chart, and we look at his Saturn placement, he's got Saturn in the 9th nakshatra. So Saturn's in the 9th house for the invasion of Poland, and he's got Saturn in the 9th nakshatra, in the 10th house of Capricorn. So what do you think is running all this entire movement? The celestials. It ain't man, folks. This is a movie being operated by the supernatural. I mean, his birth card is a diamond. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. This is the 27th card in the deck. Remember what the 27 links to? Religion, okay? Fighting, competition. And then you have the 10 of diamonds, which is the operating system, tied to Jupiter. Jupiter's in here as well. And, the big takeaway is looking at these placements where the sun's at. You see, for the invasion of Poland, the sun was right there on the rising sign in the sign of Leo where it's exalted. Okay? The royal star of the lion right there in the first nakshatra. in the 11th nakshatra, excuse me. And then if you come over to Adolf's, he has the sun in the first nakshatra in the opposite house. And when you say these two cards, you get 111, and you take the 1-1 here where the sun's at for the invasion of Poland, and the sun's in the first nakshatra here, and you bring it together, you get 111. This has massive supernatural written all over. This ain't man running shit. All these people are being used, folks. Okay? This is all the supernatural, like it or not. And I have so much more to go with this. I have this coming out as my decode. But that was a piece of it. Folks, when you look at these layers and you bring numerology into astrology and you bring the tarot into it and the cards, you start to see there's all these moving parts. The man could never code it that way. Yeah, you could go on a certain date. Like you could become conscious of the code. I've become conscious of the code. But you know what I've done? I said, I'm not even going to look at it. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to plan anything. I'm going to do things spontaneously. And then when I go back and I decode it, there's the code. Ruling out behind me, controlling my every move. And I'm okay with that. Like, what am I going to do? Get mad at it? Get angry? I know my job. I know my responsibility. You're looking at it. And I got my own set of persecutions, folks, because a lot of people don't like what I got to say. They don't like my attitude. They don't like the way I look. They don't like my hair. They don't like my tan. Whatever, man. They don't like something. Who gives a shit what you like and don't like? I'm going to say my message. That's it. You can take it or leave it, right? Those of you that are here, you're supposed to be here. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. I'm not interested in subscriber counts. I'm not interested in likes. I'm not interested in getting pats on the back. I don't care about that stuff. My main piece of all this is to be service to my code. That is it. And then whatever I do in my own personal time to give me pleasures and experience life to its fullest totality, well, maybe that's my free will. But I feel like when you surrender to your code, life becomes more blissful. Like I said, man, I had somebody just send this comment. Like, stop saying to be grateful for life and this life sucks. And then I go to their channel and it's just all doom and gloom. I'm like, oh, God. No wonder why you're saying that. I'm not going to freaking tell you anything. But I mean, if you want to keep focusing on that kind of stuff, maybe, I guess, again, see, the contradiction is, folks, some of these people are born in, they end up having to do some of these jobs. Like they end up having to work in these environments that really suck. And then I look at it and I'm like, how do we wrap our mind around that? Well, maybe, just maybe, they did some shitty stuff in their past life. And that's their hell. That's the price they got to pay. They have to be around all that nastiness. See, if you're not around that nastiness, if you have the choice to be in an environment that you choose, you should be grateful for that. Not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets that, folks. There could be the possibility. You know what hell is, man? I mean, if you want to see hell, let me show all of you real quick. I showed this before, but let me just go and take you on this journey with me. If you want to see what hell looks like, go watch this video right here. This is called the Zombies of Nairobi. Look at this environment, man. You think your life's bad? Look at that. Look at this. These people are born into these areas, and what they're doing all day, look at this. They're walking through trash, and this bottle right here has got glue in it, and that's all they do is sniff glue all day because their lives, they're born into it, and they just stay high all day. And they live this miserable, shitty life, and they live in trash and poverty, right? Some of them try to make good up, but look at this. They're all high and just, look at this, man. You imagine living and passing out, and this guy goes and interviews them all. And you think, if you compare your life, you think you got it bad? Like, folks, this could be hell right here. This could be the price people pay for being a shitty, look, I sniff jet fuel. This could be the price people pay because they weren't service to others in their previous lifetime. That's why I encourage all of you to decode yourself. Figure out what the hell you're doing here. Stop trying to push your code on other people. Stop trying to control people. Stop trying to control your partner, your husband, your wife. Stop trying to do all that nonsense. Study your partner. Study your husband and wife. Decode your kids. Because it will give you bliss to see the supernatural working all the time. And then you can start to be more service to others. And be like, take a step back and be like, how can I make their lives better? Instead of, how can I tell them they shouldn't be doing that? Well, start decoding it. Start decoding your reality, folks. That to me is like, that video like really got me emotional when I watched it. It got me real sad. And then again, like I'm not there, but I'm giving it my energy because it's like, I'm not going to be, I'm a human being. I'm compassionate. But we could sit there and we could just watch it over and over and over and give it our energy and feed it and make it stronger and bigger and stronger. No, I know it's there. So what am I going to do about it? I'm going to go out and I'm going to help the world. I'm going to create my ripple so the ripple becomes strong enough where other people catch on to the ripple. And then it gets contagious and it's paying it forward and doing all these beautiful things. And then maybe, just maybe, that ripple will reach and push out all the cancer in the world. That's how you get rid of a dystopia. You cannot get rid of a dystopia by fighting it. You just can't. You end up creating a nuclear bomb, a big bang. Two sides clashing together with war, it creates the big bang. It creates an explosion of energy, and that ripple, everybody feels it. World War II, 75 million people. 75 million plus, supposedly, died. For what? And again, this reality, it's not real. It's a movie. That's why, like, what do you want your movie to be? Go decode yourself. Then go create your movie. And if you stop paying attention to the zombies of Nairobi, but you know it's there, for a little wake-up call, you wake up and be like, man, I better do something about my life. I better start being more service to others. I better stop trying to tell people what to do and try to control them. Because maybe if you're not checking those things off the box, you'll end up becoming somebody in one of those regions of the world. I certainly wouldn't want to be there. Can you imagine the hell that must be to live that life? Short life too, but. So again, I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, go plant a garden because you love vegetables. Don't go plant a garden because you're afraid of food shortages. The energy you put out is going to feed those vegetables. They're going to be different. The frequency you put out. You want to raise your frequency. How do you raise your frequency? Decode yourself. Decode yourself. Like let's talk a little bit about life paths. Let's go through the life paths for every single one of you here watching and listening to this. I think I'm gonna end this with the life paths because I want to eat. I've only had 2 meals today. I'm hungry. Let's talk about the life paths. This is a good starting point for some of you. And you may know this information already, but I'm going to tell you how to synchronize this more into your life. So those of you that have a number 1 life path, what does the number 1 mean? What is it tied to astrologically? Aries the ram, Mars the ruler of war. Those of you that are number 1 life paths, you are here to be a leader. So step it up. Your soul said, hey, I'm going to go play that game called life. And my job, I'm going to write it in my script, I'm going to be a leader on the world stage. And then you got to look and see, like, do you have any planets in the first house? If you have planets in the first house and you got a 1 life path, you can attach the 1 life path to the first house and you can attach it to all those planets. What are all those planets? Those are your team members. They're all coming together and be like, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you can kind of join it together. The 1 life path, you are leaders. You're very competitive, very testosterone driven. You're the fire blazers, the trailblazers, the people, like if you're going to go into a think tank, you're going to be the one that has the ideas, the drive, like, let's go do this. You're going to want to be first in everything you do. You got to just put yourself in check. You're going to always think your way's the right way, more so than everything else. That's just the way it is. And it's tied to the magician card. So what kind of magic are you putting out on the world stage? Then you get into the number 2 life path and the master life number 11. Those of you that are like, a lot of people, they get really like very ego, like, oh yeah, I'm a master 22 or 11. It's not better than anything else. If you have a master life path, you're going to have 2 life paths. You're going to have the double digit and the single digit. But the number 2, those of you that have 2 life paths, going to be tied to Taurus, going to be tied to Venus. It's going to be tied to the sacral. It's going to be tied to procreation. 2 life paths. Obviously, you work good with people. You should be working with people. You're creating, procreating. It's going to be tied to the high priestess. Taurus has the 2 horns, the devil horns, the knowledge of the world, right? 2 life paths. Working, it's more, you come together with 2 people. The 2, more than 1. House of astrology tied to money and possessions, the starting core of it. So you may be good at financing, managing money, et cetera, but you got to find out what your soul contract is. If you're a 2 life path, you're probably going to work good with people. Then you got to look and see exactly where, like maybe you have some, what kind of planets do you have in the 2nd house? How about the house of Aquarius in the 11th house? The higher aspect of the 2. This is the friends, and this is the friend's house. Do you have any planets there? And if you have a 2 of clubs, 2 of diamonds, 2 of spades, and you're a 2 life path, you got a lot of 2 in your name, your energy. You can take your numerology, you can look and see, all of you can take your name and numerology, you can look and see how many 1s you got, how many 2s you got, how many 3s you got, how many 4s you got, how many 7s you got. That's going to tell you some narration on the energy that you drive in life. So that's the 2 life path. Those of you that are 3s, tied to Gemini, tied to the Kundalini, tied to creation, tied to the solar plexus, the Manipura, tied to the color yellow, the belly of the beast. It's about creation and being creative and communicating. So you're here to be that expressive. You could work in anything where you can express yourself artistically, creatively. And in the Western astrology, I have 5 planets in my 3rd house. I mean, like, what do you think I'm doing? Expressing creative through the mystical arts, creating this channel, decode your reality, creating my art, creating my videos. Creative, creative, creative. I don't have a 3 life path, but my ego, a lot of the planets are 3, 3, 3. That's the Trinity, the trifecta. So if you have a 3 life path, it's tied to the Empress. The Empress wants to give birth to things. You give birth to words and being creative and communicating and using your gut instinct. If you have a 3 life path, if you're born in the 3rd, you got to make sure your freaking digestion's working good. Medical astrology. Because if your stomach's not working good, it gets clogged, or you have acid reflux, or your instincts can go down. They can be affected by that, which will affect your creativity. You got to take care of the temple. Those of you that have 4 life paths, tied to Cancer, tied to the moon, tied to the emotions, tied to the house, the home. Home is where the heart is, the root of the tree. The root of the tree. 4 is the quadrant. 4 is the emperor, the king on the chessboard. Happy home. Ruled by Cancer. Emotions. Being emotionally involved with the home you live at. Creating the structure, creating the foundation. 4s are there to be the teachers, to create the cube. 4 life path is you are somebody who's a teacher, a servant to teaching. Creating some kind of structure, some kind of stability in life, creating a cube, squaring the circle. Your spirit wants to square the circle. It wants to form a structure around it. So you'd be great teachers. You'd be able to build something. I'm a 4 birthday, so I have this part of my life. What do you think I'm doing? I'm building this whole thing here for people to utilize. When I'm long gone, hopefully it'll still be utilized, or at least somebody will catch, whatever that looks like. But 4 life path, that's your spirit. Your spirit came down to create some kind of structure, to be the king, to create that structure and the foundation on the world, and to create that square, a very stable shape. Then you get into the number 5. Those of you that have 5 life paths, busy people. This is man. 5 fingers, 5 fingers. You busy people. You're here to adventure. You're here to experience adventures. You're here to be free. You're the one that raises your hand and says, I'll go do that. I'll volunteer. You're here to experience life in all its totality. So if someone that you're married to, or if you're with and they're like trying to suppress that, you're going to get pissed. You need a lot of room. You need a lot of space. You move around quickly. 5 of Wands is the card of competition, and like it's always constant. The monkey mind, restlessness. 5 life path, the adventurer, getting out there and experiencing life in all its totality. That's your spirit. And you got to come from a childlike state. That's the 5. Tied to the pentagram, tied to the house of Leo. Leo's the lion, the king of the jungle. King gets to do whatever they want. The lioness, the sun, hot, expansion, running around, taking your clothes off, getting excited, getting crazy. 5s are the ones to experience this reality on all layers of life. 5. Those of you that have a 6 life path, carbon, the lover's card, the virgin, the Virgo, the first number of perfection, the last day of creation, the element carbon, 666. It's not evil, folks. It just means man. Those of you that have a 6 life path, you may be somebody that incarnated to actually have a family, to have children. That is your job. Your job was to incarnate to have a family. Because 6 is the lover's card. 6 means perfection. 6 means legacy. If you have planets in the 6th house, you've got to look at those planets, and your soul came here like, okay, I came here to really perfect something. What are you perfecting? Then you tie that into your ego and your identity and your drive in life. What do you want? What do you desire in life? The 6, ruled by Mercury. So you got to talk, right? Jesus was born of a virgin. That's Virgo. Virgo's ruled by Mercury. Mercury's the messenger. Jesus was a messenger. Kind of a no-brainer. Carbon, 666. 18, Jesus, Virgo. Then you get into the 7 life path. 7 is Libra. Libra, the scales. You 7s are the great analysts of the soul contracts. The spiritual analyst. You're here to analyze life. The last official day of creation was 7 in theology. That means God rested on the 7th day. What would you, if you created Earth and you did your 6 days, you were like, whoo, and then day 7 came in, man, you're tired. You're like, whoa, that was a lot of work. And you got your feet up on the desk and you're just like looking out over all your creation. Now you're analyzing and you're critiquing it. Well, that's a little too annoying. I got to fix that. I don't like the way that looks like that. I'm going to change the color on that. When you go to church on day 7, typically, the church says you don't work on that day. You rest and reflect on your previous 6 days. It's the crown chakra, 144. That's tied to the pentagram as well, the number 70. But the 7 is the analyst. You 7 life paths incarnated to analyze life, to figure out what needs to get fixed, what needs to stay. But you can't just go out there and throw your weight around because you're an analyst. You got to figure out all the other moving parts that are integrated with your ingredient list. It's tied to the chariot. So it's the yin yang. Chariot's got the yin yang on it. Libra's got the scales. And you got Venus there. So you got to do this with love, folks. You got to have critique in mind with love, not fear, love. You need to have slightly service to others when you're critiquing this world, 7 life paths. Then you get into the number 8 life path. Well, that's what I got. Scorpio. The element oxygen. And you're dealing with Scorpio and, the Kundalini. And Scorpio has the tail, which is the coccyx bone, the tailbone. Across the way is Taurus, which has got the bull horns, the devil horns. Now you got the devil, the 28. You can say it's lead, Lucifer, Saturn, all that stuff. You can play those into it as well. But the 8 life path, ladies and gentlemen, your job is to deal with power. Because it's the infinity symbol. It's the Taurus field. You are the epitome. You literally represent the Taurus field. You sit in the middle of that hourglass, like me. I sit in the middle. I observe both sides. Like, okay, you got the heavenly realms and the hellish realms. You got up and down. You get good and bad. They both exist, and I have access to both. What do I want to do? So a lot of 8s, man, they have a lot of power. They can service the ego and they can become very wealthy. But the main construct of the 8 life path is to service power, utilize power, dictate power, deviate power, show how the power can be utilized. And it's typically going to be tied to the CEO, the boss. Like, I'm my own boss. You may not want to. I don't like having a boss, being subordinate. I don't have my best experience when I have that. Because then you have to give your power away. A lot to do with the number 1, the 1 life path. They don't want to deviate. They don't want to give their power away. They want to be the boss. So when you're placed in a subordinate position, you're not going to fare that well because you're not designed to be in that position. Especially the 1s and the 8s. Then you get into the number 9. And you get into the humanitarian. One of my favorites, because these people incarnated and they have big shoes to fill. And they are really, that's the Saturn's magic square, the number 9. It's ruled by Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. And the number 9 is the heaviest of all numbers because it contains the numbers that are behind it, the 0 through 8. And it's, this card right here. So you have this how do you become a humanitarian? A really, a game changer? You become the hermit. You shine your light on the world. And it could be said that those that have the 9 life paths, you could say you're an old soul if you feel that way. Like you've been down here many times, if you look at that context. But the 9 life paths is the straight up humanitarian. So if you're not doing something service to the world, you're missing the picture. You will feel gratification if you service the world. And then you can start to, when you have these layers, you can start to say, okay, if you're a humanitarian and you start up some kind of humanitarian outfit or whatever, well, who would I want to have in my Rolodex of people? This is the future, by the way, is selecting people based on their soul contracts, based on their astrological positions, based on their cards of illumination, based on their numerology. Because if I'm a 9 life path and I'm a humanitarian, I'm like, okay, well, who's going to run the operation? Who's going to be the best at the finances? And you start to look at the soul contracts. Like you want to have a lot of 2s around because 2s, they work good with people. There's these layers that we can get into here as we start to move into the age of Aquarius, or seemingly have already done so. And we now have a strategy in place. Now we have a supernatural strategy versus hiring and doing a vetting process through paperwork and someone getting interviewed. People can lie and cheat and they can say a whole bunch of stuff to get the job. But you can't lie and cheat off the astrological chart and supernatural and the soul contract positions. Then we move into life path number 11. I'm sorry, number 10. 11. Yeah, 11. Why am I saying 10? It goes to 1. We have the master life path number 11, which is going to give you 2 life paths, 11 and 2. 11s, of course, are going to be tied to sodium, the brain. You have a higher aspect of this reality. You can be psychic. You can be a mystic. If you are psychic, whatever, are you using those powers? Service to the world. When you're functioning at a very high level with 11, you're working really for the benefit of mankind. And the lower portion of the 11 is going to be the 2. You're going to go back to Taurus, the number 2. You're going to have that high priestess, which is the oracle card, having a lot of wisdom and knowledge, but also working good with people. The 11 life path. It's almost like a spitting image of the 2. It's just you may have more of a mystical ride to you, the 11. Then you get into the 22. The master builders. 2 and 2 is the master builder. In the medicine deck, it's the beaver card, the master builder of nature. 22 is tied to titanium, the titans. And the 22s are very, very good at building businesses. Anything you can build and work with people, you'd really excel at that. So then you take your soul contract and say, okay, well, am I working for a utopia or a dystopia? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, not everybody incarnates to work for the utopian world. People don't take these things into consideration. People incarnate to be dystopian. That's their job. And then we just end up saying, oh, they're not being good people. That's not their job. Okay? You're always going to have the push-pull here in this reality. Unless something changes. It's been like that forever. Since I've been born, observing this reality, as far back as I can go, it's always been push-pull. And then you get into the master life path number 33, which is going to be down to the number 6. You're going to be, those of you that have the 6 life paths, you're going to be tied to Virgo, the Virgin. 33, it's the super creative one. The super creative one. Can be tied to Gemini and procreation, et cetera, but it's, the number of ascending the boundaries of this reality. Like ascending the boundaries of creation, being able to super create, so to speak. And then maybe leaving a legacy behind. Anything like the 6th house. 6 is legacy. In astrology, you're going to say it's the house of family and health. And yeah, because it's the temple. It's the last day of creation. But what are you going to do with it? It's the house of legacy. If you got planets in your 6th house, you should pay attention to that. What's working through you. If you got Jupiter in your 6th house, see, Jupiter has the great red spot on it. And if you got Jupiter in your 6th house, you definitely should be meditating every day. Everybody should, but if you got Jupiter in your 6th house, which has got the great red spot on it, and the 6th house is the 3rd eye, you should be meditating. You should be doing creative visualization. If you have any planets in your 6th house, period, meditation and visualization should be like brushing your teeth every day. So these are the soul contracts, and they're not the same as your ego. They're not the same as your 1st house. Like, okay, what do you desire? What do you want in life? You know, the show Lucifer on Netflix. He could look you in the eyes and be like, what do you desire? Desire. Demon. Decide. Desire. DE. DE is 45. 45 is Pandora's box. What do you desire in Pandora's box? You take the ego and you combine it with the soul contract. And now you have a team versus having an adversary. Like when Jesus said, get away from me, Satan, he was talking about his ego. The voice in his head. The ego that runs you no matter what. And you got to navigate through this reality and realize that you got to make peace with it. Like I had said before, I come out with this meme and it said something like, I can't remember, I forget my own memes, but it's like, if you want to be a light worker, you better make friends with the dark, because without the dark, you got no job. You got no job, man. If you want to be a light worker, you better make friends with the dark, because without the darkness, you don't have a job. The white blood cells don't have bacteria and parasites invading the body. There would be no need for the white blood cells. What created both? Well, the God did, whatever that looks like. You have duality, always, you have 2 arms, 2 legs, duality. 2 hemispheres of the brain, duality. 2 ears, duality. 2 eyes, duality. 2 nostrils, duality. And the only hole, well, I shouldn't say the only one, but you know, you have like one hole here and you go, you know, but anyway, I'm not going to get into specifics on that, but the duality is all over the place with the human being experience. That's how we're created. That's how we're created, folks. All right, so I hope that helped all of you. What about Pluto in the 6th house? Well, Pluto is an interesting planet because Pluto is designed to remove plutonium. Pluto is designed to, there's a duality in all these planets. In the Vedic astrology, you have the trifecta. And that is, you have always working Brahma, creator, Vishnu, preserver, and Shiva, destroyer. Brahma's the creator god, tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Vishnu is the preserver, neutrality. And then Shiva's the destroyer, to wipe this. When a building gets taken down, when they implode a building on purpose, they remove it, they create a new one. That's a simple example of Shiva at work. The World Trade Center, April 4th, 1973, it was built. September 11th, 2001, it was removed. Brahma, Shiva. Creation, destruction. That's, you have duality, man, all the time. That's what you have. So when you start to take these concepts into consideration in your life and you figure out exactly what's going on with you in your life and the planetary positions, you'll have a much more blissful life. Anyway, so yeah, Pluto is going to play its role in your charts through creation and the drive towards that, being a fanatic about it. Like going to chase it with absolute. And then it's also designed to tear things down. That's the job. The job of Pluto is to destroy. That's what its job is. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to be, think about it. Would you want to be a garbage man? Maybe some of you are. Somebody's got to do it. So as they say, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Somebody gets the title. Somebody gets the definition. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. So you just got to look at, like, what does the sixth house mean? It means it's your body. Maybe you may have to, medical astrology, if you have Pluto in the sixth house, you may have to watch out for your health. You may be incarnated with some challenges in your health. And so if I see Pluto in the sixth house, man, I am making sure that my freaking temple is primo. I'm not going to risk it anything at all. I mean, Pluto, I have Pluto in my, it's funny because I have Pluto in my 11th house in Western. And when you have Pluto in the 11th house, which is ruled by Aquarius, which rules friends, when you have Pluto in there, it says that you will be somebody who you'll make friends with people and then they'll just disappear. Poof. Sometimes you'll never hear from them again. And that has been my life to a T. Because it's in the 11th house. Destruction. What is the house of 11? Friendships. Destruction of friendships. So you'll meet somebody, you may be great friends with them, and then, boo, they just disappear. If you have Pluto in the 10th house, which runs your service to the world and the Wheel of Fortune, you may go through a lot of careers over your life. This is not set in stone, by the way. These are generalizations. There are many moving parts. I'm just giving you generalizations. But I mean, you know, you should be looking at your Vedic chart, because, you know, if you're a fan of tropical, awesome. I'm a fan of tropical, but you should look at your Vedic because you get the chakras there. And I see the Vedic chart as, you know, it's based on the fixed stars. I just look at it from the chakra standpoint. If you take Western astrology and Vedic astrology, where would they be in the chakras? You would have Vedic at the root and Western at the crown. And neither one are going to be more important than the other. But Vedic is the origin, and the Western is kind of like where you're going, the precession of the equinoxes, or the precession of the equinox. And that's why if you're somebody who's a double sun sign like myself, and you read from the sun signs, I promise you, you will find truth in both. And that will alleviate which system is better. Because that's totally a falsehood, if there is such a thing. Both systems are going to show their accuracy. Especially when you place the chakras over the Western astrology chart. That's a lot of fun doing that. Oh yeah, and I wanted to just, those of you that were here on my last What's Your Question? You know, sometimes I don't get the interpretations right away. I just don't get the download. But after looking at things, I just wanted to present to you, we did a collective card pull. I'm not going to do one tonight because I'm going to end this transmission soon, but I want to show all of you what I think it meant. I think we had the Hermit. I think it was the Hermit on, but anyway, the two main cards were, the beginning of it all was, I believe it was the Knight of Pentacles. And this is card number 75. And I mean 76, 76. Hold on. I got these things. See, sometimes my brain doesn't work. Yeah, 76. 75 or 76. And this guy right here is the Jack of Diamonds. The card of the United States of America, July 4th, amongst many birthdays. But it represents, you know, he's coming in on the horse and he's holding something brand new. He's like, look what I got. This is what I got. This is what I came from battle with. I mean, he's not into battle anymore. Horse is standing still. He's got his helmet up. He's holding that disc in his hand. So it's a new opportunity. Land of the free, home of the brave. America is the dream, right? People come over to America because they want to, they want to have the American dream. This is the American dream right here. Like you're holding in your hand the American dream. So that was the starting point. And then the middle of the deck, like where are we going, was this one. And this Queen of Swords represents antimony, the all-seeing eye of Horus. And it just might be, ladies and gentlemen, that this is talking about, everybody realizing that your mind is not your own, and wake up. And the game is going to change. We're having a very big changing of the game moving in. And it could be less and less control. I know, and I say that with a lot of fun because, I'm a human being and I don't like to not have control. But it's if you want to talk about illusion, people say, time's an illusion. And well, that's such bullocks, because if I look at my phone and it's 12:10, it just turned 12:11, there's time. Just proved time is real. Time is real because of watching a cell phone say so. But anyway, the great illusion in life, and to me anyway, is thinking you got control. That's the biggest illusion of them all, because you don't. So the script's already been written. That's why these prophecies come true. Where do these people get these ideas of the prophecies? From the freaking supernatural. And there are multifaceted layers to this, because if you go to if you go over to India, Buddhism and Hinduism, they're not paying attention to the Bible. Like, Bible what? You're like, I'm Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Who's Jesus? I mean, they recognize it, I'm sure. Then you go into, Islam, and it's the Quran. Like, Bible what? So if you brought somebody who practiced the Quran and Muslim into a room with somebody who practiced Judaism and Christianity, and brought the Torah in there, and they brought the New Testament in there, then you brought somebody who was from India who was either a Buddhist or a Hinduism, and they brought the Upanishads, and everybody got to sit there and have a conversation. Who's going to be right? Well, if you're advanced in your ways of thinking and you've laid your swords down trying to think you're right, you realize that every single person at that table is right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you create a utopia. Because if we continue to argue and divide about whose God is bigger and mightier, and if we continue to do that, you're going to continue to get more division and more division and more. And then you have the implosion and you have the reset. It's coming anyway. But if we just use this analogy, this simple analogy of bringing these religions into the same room and having an adult conversation, well, no, it's Brahma, the creator God. No, it's Jehovah. No, it's Allah. Well, which is it? You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Everybody's happy. It's pretty simple, but people don't do that. Why? Because people just want to be right. That's their main fix in life. The main fix. Give me a dose of being right, baby. I'm going to prove you wrong. And we all do it, myself included. I still am challenged with it. Because your ego wants to always be right. And anything outside your ego ain't having it. So if we could just start to decode this reality around us, you're going to see a predestined script. Sports are rigged because mankind is rigged. There is no way ever that man could ever code those sports games the way they're coming out. Not even possible. Too many moving parts. So when sports equals 27, which is the same match to the word currency, which is the same match to the word religion, what do you think's running religion? It's the same energy that's running sports. which is the same energy that's running currency. Because that's what this reality is based upon, currency. That's it. Currency. What is your currency worth? Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Bam! That's right. We got a bam in there. I appreciate everybody, you guys and gals being here. This was a fun one. I thought we got some pretty good information on the table. Got the life paths in there. Know yourself. Decode yourself. It's a lot of fun, man. I'm telling you. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to end this great transmission with all you great decoders. What's everybody doing for the January 1st New Year? I know what I'll be doing. Same thing I do every day. Decode. Let me go to the beach. It's going to be nice here in Mexico. But that's it. My partying days are, it's not as much fun as it used to be. But that's how the times are these days, right? I would encourage all of you, I guess I'll leave on this. Become like a bottle of fine wine. Just become a bottle of fine wine. When the wine comes out of the glass, when the wine comes out of the bottle, do you think it's bitching about what glass it's going into? Like, oh, I don't want to go in that glass. You're putting me into a pint glass. Where's the wine glass? You think the wine actually has the ability to talk? No, the wine just goes into whatever glass you put it in. So, like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Be like fine wine. Refine your mind. Decode yourself. Leave everybody else alone. Let them figure it out on their own. It's not your job to wake people up, ladies and gentlemen. Your job is to raise your consciousness as high as you can get it, to create the biggest ripple that you can possibly create so that other people feel it. And they're going to do it subtly. You may turn people away, totally fine. I think my Christmas decoded, I have -3 subscribers. No idea why. Maybe it's not real, but if it's real, I don't care. Because I'm not into it for the subscriber count. I just think it's funny. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, be like fine wine. Be like fine. I'm sure somebody's going to decode that. But I started this off, and I'm going to end it. I'm going to let all of you, I'm going to keep the chat open to the song. It's like 6.5 minutes long. Feed the Wolf by, it's Lambert remix. I love using this music. Feed the Wolf is 60. Neodymium, 144. Tied to the crown. The wolf is you. You're the wolf. And it says, feed the wolf. It's hungry, but it's not unkind. It gets easier over time when you know what you're looking for, when you know how the reality works. Become like fine wine, folks. That's kind of my big takeaway for all of you here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's a wrap for Let's Talk Decoding number 5. It's been an honor and a pleasure for being your tour guide this evening, wherever you're at around the world. My name is Logan, Decode Your Reality. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you later.
fight with you, I'll give it